It's quite the change of scenery from the surf and sand of Daytona Beach, Florida in the east to the cactus and sand of Phoenix, Arizona in the desert southwest. After opening the season in Daytona, NASCAR Nationwide Series teams and drivers have crossed the country to another traditional stop with a new spot on the calendar. Phoenix International Raceway now hosts the second event of the year. The short track feel of this mile oval ready to produce some excitement in its own style. This track has its share of favorites. Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch have won 6 of the last 7 here between them, but there are many drivers looking to change that tune, including one who knows this upset thing really can happen. Whoever wins, let's hope the fun factor's as high as it was at that finish in Daytona last Saturday. The green flag flies, and the 2011 NASCAR Nationwide Series season is green.
The combination of this car and the new pavement has opened up these two-car drafts.
One of the guys that we thought would contend for the championship.
We're totaled, Ernie. I mean, really totaled.
Here comes Danica Patrick, and they're going after the race lead.
Patrick is going to lead. White flag is out. Here we go. Who's going to win it at Daytona?
Stewart and Castle are on the move. They are side by side for the lead.
At the stripe, Tony Stewart does it.
4 in a row, baby.
Well, that wild Daytona finish was followed a day later by another in which Trevor Bayne, all of 20 years old, placed himself on the national stage by winning the Daytona 500, driving for the famed Wood Brothers team despite his tender age. What a win for the ages it was. Who'll win today here at Phoenix International Raceway, the mile oval just to the southwest of downtown, where race number 2 of the NASCAR Nationwide Series season goes green in just a short while. You could figure that a whole lot more of the fans filing into the track today will be following Bayne in this race, especially the young ladies. It's not the Bieber factor, but the Bayne factor at work. No Bieber or Bayne factor, but we do have the Brad factor.
There you go, baby.
Inside the ESPN studio.
Heartthrob to heartthrob.
A little different haircut, but otherwise a remarkable resemblance. There we are, just outside of Turn 2, here in the Valley of the Sun. And welcome to NASCAR Countdown. Alan Bestwick with Rusty Wallace and Big Brad Daugherty. Daytona, the Nationwide Series race, the 500, the first race of the season. What got you fired up about last week?
Everything. There was just so much hype. I mean, we haven't seen this hype, Brad, in a long, long time. Yeah. I mean, no doubt about one thing. On Monday, it was water cooler talk all across the United States about last week's races, the 300 to 500. We got a new winner. It was just awesome. I mean, I can't wait to this week now.
And now the transition from that season opening day feel of Daytona into the heart of the season here at Phoenix. Why is or is not that transition difficult to make?
Oh, it's not difficult because now we're going back to what these guys do best, what they started doing. Short track racing, wheel to wheel, fender to fender, door to door, where the driver himself has an input into how this race finishes. Physically as well as mechanically, they both have to mesh to get a win on a short track.
Driver introductions ongoing. Quick mention here, we are in the Valley of the Sun, but there is the possibility of a shower in the forecast. We should be good for the whole 200-lap distance today, but we'll be keeping an eye on the radar to keep you posted. The forecast calls for temperatures in the low 70s, a 10% chance of a scattered shower there. A few things popping up here and there on the radar, and then, as I mentioned, we'll keep an eye on that as we go throughout the day. We are closing in on the start of race number 2 of the NASCAR Nationwide Series season. There is one of the favorites for the day, Carl Edwards, Ryan Newman in the field as well. A lot more stories to talk to you about as the first race for the next generation car of the NASCAR Nationwide Series at this track unfolds. We'll talk more about the Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bayne next on NASCAR Countdown.
NASCAR Countdown is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at CodeSpotter.com for a chance to win one-of-a-kind NASCAR VIP experiences.
Certainly one of the featured players in today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race will be the driver of that car and that man, Trevor Bayne, the Daytona 500 winner, who certainly introduced himself to a lot of folks last Sunday, but he's part of this young generation that's been racing for a long time, in his case, since age 5. Wow. He's got a few karting championships, a title in the Allison Legacy Car Short Track Series, and he's been in this Nationwide Series for most of the past 2 seasons. He's still looking for his first win in this series. The elements of that Daytona 500 story. A young, little-known driver, one of the sport's most storied teams that had fallen on hard times, winning the sport's biggest race together. Certainly worth taking a moment and reliving again.
We're just about set to finally go racing here in 2011.
The Daytona 500 is different than most races. It's just got a mystique about it. You can't really put it into words.
Trevor Bayne making his first start for the Wood Brothers.
The Wood Brothers are definitely an example of the way you should do things, the way you should treat people, the right way of doing whatever it is you do. It doesn't even have to be racing.
One of the feel-good stories of the week so far has been young Trevor Bayne.
Trevor's one of them people that when he walks into a room, things get better, lighter, brighter.
He has a good heart. He's just a nice kid.
Before the start of the race, I went to him and had him hold his hand straight out. Not one finger twitch. This kid is solid for his first Daytona 500.
I would have been happy with the top 15. I really would have. Obviously, we come to every race to win it, and we want to do that, but that's not our expectations.
Trevor Bayne becomes the leader of the Daytona 500.
All of a sudden, the green was out.
We just got to go like hell here when this thing comes out.
3 miles away from a win at Daytona, Trevor Bayne leads the field off turn number 4.
I've never experienced adrenaline like that before. No matter what I was doing, what action sport, backflips on a wakeboard, whatever, you get that pump, but this was like an adrenaline that was overwhelming.
Young Trevor Bayne driving for his life on the final lap of the Daytona 500.
Here comes Carl Edwards. He's got momentum. David Gilliland giving him a shove to the inside of Labonte. Now Trevor Bayne will cross over the final time off 4.
I never expected to win. Everything had gone too perfect the whole race, for it to keep going that way.
Trevor Bayne playing defense. He's out in front at age 20. He's going to win the 53rd Daytona 500.
Everybody likes to see new stars be born. We watched that happen with Trevor.
Trevor Bayne gets the win for the Wood Brothers.
It's been so long since we've won a race. It just felt like, okay, now we're back a part of the sport.
Leonard Wood, one of the pioneers of NASCAR racing. He's going to run out and celebrate.
Am I dreaming right now?
Just to see the glow in his eyes, the big smile, and you're put back into 1976 again with a new kid, new car, but same racetrack. It's just like it was a time warp. It's just like everybody had a reunion, and then to top it off, you get lucky and win the race.
The Wood Brothers, they represent the fans that have been around the grassroots part of this racing a long, long time, mixed with this new kid, first time at Daytona. That's how dreams happen.
To me, it's the biggest race that we've ever won or been a part of, ever.
I knew where victory lane was, but I was just taking it in and waving and so excited that I just passed right by it and had to back up and turn in, but we'll definitely get a direct path to victory lane next time.
Pretty fun stuff. Trevor Bayne winning NASCAR's biggest race at age 20 prompted us to think about some other athletes who were youngest to win in other sports. How about Big Ben Roethlisberger, a Super Bowl winning quarterback at the age of 23?
That's outstanding, and he's still doing it today.
Little racing turn here, Rusty. Indianapolis 500, Troy Ruttman, age 22.
Oh, yeah, man. When I was growing up, I heard all about this guy. It was a great story, him winning the 500, and a great family, big racing tradition in this family.
Tiger in the Masters in 97.
Well, I tell you, one of the greatest golfers of all time. Outstanding 1997 Masters win.
21 years old at that time. Magic Johnson, just 20 years old when he was the MVP of the NBA Finals in 1980.
Played center in those NBA Finals, and if I'd have been playing, he wouldn't have won it, but it's still an incredible accomplishment.
I thought that was you, Brad.
And Martina Hingis, the youngest to win a singles title in a tennis Grand Slam. She won the Australian Open at age 16 in 1997. General reaction from most people. Trevor seems like a nice, well-spoken kid. He is. By the way, the question most frequently asked this week from young females is, does he have a girlfriend? What was your reaction to his win, Rusty?
My reaction was, oh my gosh, I can't believe this 20-year-old kid just won this big race, the Daytona 500, a race that everybody in the world tries to, only a few can. But the other reaction, Alan, was, man, the sport really needed this. I mean, it was a great thing for the sport. And the other thing, this kid did not just luck up and win this race. Yeah. He qualified well. He ran good in the 150s. He obviously won the Daytona 500. He even earned it. He earned it at age 20. It was just an unbelievable story that I said earlier is water cooler talk that we'll still talk about for a long time.
After making media appearances from coast to coast and meeting a lot of people and getting to do a lot of neat things, Bain had to come back to the racetrack on Friday and begin practice and qualifying in both his Nationwide and Sprint Cup Series cars. Reality set in quickly when a brake locked up on him in the opening Sprint Cup Series practice. He got into the wall and they had to go to the backup car.
Yeah, he went out there and tagged the wall pretty hard early in practice, and yeah, it was somewhat of a reality check, but I'm still saying this young man belongs in the Nationwide Series. That's where he needs to develop. That was just a bad day. It'll go away.
With the new rules allowing a driver only to earn points in one series, Bain declared before the season he would compete for the Nationwide Championship. Spoke to Eddie Wood, co-owner of the Wood Brothers team, just before we went on the air a little while ago. He said that plan hasn't changed at this point. Trevor is still registered to earn points in the Nationwide Series. Your reaction to that?
Oh, I think that's absolutely the appropriate approach for this young man. He needs to race in this Nationwide Series, garner some wins, garner seat time and experience, and let the progression take itself through, the phases he needs to go to cup level. He does not need to jump into the cup level right
Brad,
now.
I can absolutely understand how it would be very, very tempting to do that, though.
Yeah.
I mean, after you win the Daytona 500, hey, man, let's jump into the big point system and try to get it done. But you know what? I mean, this was a great young man, a great win for him in the 500. But let's get honest now. This is a very, very tough sport. His main focus needs to be the Nationwide Series. I'm glad he's made a decision to do that, because in my mind, if he'd have jumped over in Cup, hey, man, this could have really screwed up his career.
Experience.
Note the white uniform. No sponsor on this Nationwide Series car for the Daytona 500 winner today. This is the last race on this track's current surface and this exact layout. By the time we come back here in November, the track will be repaved and reconfigured. In fact, if our pit studio sits in November where it is right now, we're going to be on the backstretch.
Catching a ride, baby.
Yeah. A couple drivers would probably rather not see those changes. Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards have won 6 of the last 7 Nationwide Series races at this track, including both of last year's. Last April, Kyle Busch had a NASCAR penalty for jumping a restart, stormed back through the field in the final laps to score the win. And then last November, Carl Edwards led 3/4 of the race to take the win. The two drivers have qualified on the front row for today. Let's hear from them, starting with Dave Burns.
And just walking up to Carl's white number 60 right now, that Ford Mustang that he'd like to put in victory lane here today before they change this place on you, where you've been so successful. 4 wins here, best all time in the Nationwide Series. How do we do it in the early race, though? It's been about November for you here in this team. How do we do it today?
We've got to get by Kyle first. He's really fast, and we fortunately have a screaming fast Ford Mustang here, and we've got Ford on the car. It's Ford Drive 1 with the Mustang on the back and Fastenal's on board, and just came off an awesome lap in the Subway Ford Fusion.
You're the pole sitter for the Cup race.
Yes, that's big. It's important because Subway's sponsoring the race, so that was a really, really big deal for us. And this race is so much fun, though. These Nationwide cars are a blast here, and I'm hoping that we can get another win. This place is so great to me, and it means a lot to win here. It's such a tough racetrack.
He dominated last fall. He starts second today. Vince Welch.
Well, a year ago in the Nationwide Series, teams in the garage thought that when these guys were racing the new car that maybe the Joe Gibbs teams were a little bit vulnerable. That's not the case anymore. You guys have really gone to work in the winter to get this new car, get their arms around it. In your opinion, from the driver's seat, where's been the big improvement with this new car?
I think just the time that we've had to spend on it and kind of get used to the way that it reacts and the way that it does things differently than the old car. So Jason and the guys have done a really nice job over the winter. A lot of work goes to those guys, all 3 crew chiefs that got together and put their heads together and been able to work through the rules and what we can do and stuff. So, we didn't concentrate on it a whole lot last year. We knew it was 4 races. We knew it would be important, but not that big a deal. We were still chasing the Owners' Championship with the old car. So over the winter, the guys put a full court press on it, and they did a great job. So the Interstate Batteries Camry's fast thus far today and qualified on the pole. So look forward to what we have in store here today. Hopefully it's a good, solid run, and if we reach our potential, we should be in victory lane.
Thank you, Kyle. Kyle Busch, he won this race in the spring last year, won the truck race last night, starts from the pole today. Doc?
Well, Vince, what happened with Trevor Bain last week at Daytona has spurred a lot of young drivers to believe that first breakthrough win is just around the corner, like this guy here, Joe Gibbs Racing driver Brian Scott. And Brian, what's the key for you to get that breakthrough win to victory lane here today?
Well, first, Dr. Punch, I got to tell you happy anniversary. Congratulations to you and your wife. And second, it'll be just beating the Cup guys that we're all starting around. I think if I can pass them and get to the checkered flag before them, I think I can get that breakout win.
Hey, good luck today.
Thank you.
Brian Scott rolls off 5th.
Alan?
All right, Doc, new car on this track for the first time, but teams are still trying to accomplish the same thing, a balanced, well-handling car. We talk more about that with champion crew chief Tim Brewer in our Craftsman Tech Garage. Tim?
You're right, Alan. It is a balance because aerodynamics, the rear spoiler, the front air dam, but you have to take the driver's input into all your equations. But we've got the ballast. You can slide it up and down the frame rails, forward and aft. Shock absorbers to ensure a good ride. Springs, they're essential to getting the car down in the front. The sway bar, anti-sway bar in the front, it affects the roll of the car. But the rear spoiler and the front air dam, that's going to create downforce, and you have to change directions, meaning cornering. Everything's an asset here in Phoenix.
Tim, thanks. What's it going to take to get that well-balanced car through 200 laps on this Phoenix Mile? And can anybody stop Kyle and Carl? We find out next.
The path to racing prowess rises from the small towns of America. It is born in the dreams of drivers testing their will on local tracks for a chance at becoming one of the greatest in the world. Ambition is awakened in those moments. Every small victory, a glimpse of the dream, as they become what they were meant to be. Local tracks clocking miles of hope, 4 left turns, and a cloud of glory. In the heartlands of America, where legendary drivers have cut their teeth, steering out of obscurity into one of racing's grandest arenas.
Trevor Bayne at age 20, he's going to win the Daytona 500.
Young guns looking to prove their worth. Veterans pressing to realize their destiny once again. The fortitude to recapture that small-town local track spirit, to push themselves beyond the boundaries of a childhood fantasy, down the only victory lane that has ever mattered. Today, their road to glory starts on a 1-mile track long on dreams.
That 1-mile track is Phoenix International Raceway, where many racing legends have graced victory lane over 48 years. In a moment, young hopefuls take on today's racing stars, looking for the chance to claim that moment of glory against the toughest competition. Time to go trackside for the opening ceremony.
Please rise and remove your hats as the Marine Corps Recruiting Station from Phoenix presents our nation's colors. Please welcome Phoenix International Raceway Chaplain Ken Bowers as he offers today's invocation.
Father, thank you for allowing us to be with you today for the excitement and the spirit at PIR. Only one life will soon be passed. Only what's done for the Lord will last. Father, we ask your protection upon the racing today. These things we ask in your name, and everyone said, Amen.
Please welcome Broken Bow Records recording artist from Nashville, Tennessee, James Wesley, as he performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Time for the drivers to climb aboard. Someone else to watch today, Kevin Harvick. He's finished second the last 3 straight Nationwide Series races at this track. Maybe one better for Happy? We find out next.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Phoenix is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at CodeSpotter.com for a chance to win one-of-a-kind NASCAR VIP experiences.
Point to be made today at Phoenix by Kyle Busch and Joe Gibbs Racing. Kyle won 13 times last year in the Nationwide Series, including this race at Phoenix, where he came back from a penalty and stormed through the field for a win. We look to see if Joe Gibbs Racing can become as dominant with this next generation Nationwide Series car as they were before. Kyle starting on the pole today, also in the field and worth noting today, Danica Patrick. This is her hometown track. She lives in nearby Scottsdale. Patrick getting buckled aboard that 7 machine. It's her second try in a stock car here at Phoenix. Of course, last Saturday in Daytona, she became the first woman to lead a national NASCAR Series race at the World Center of Racing when she drafted to the front in that 7 car. Patrick here starting in 20th position. Remember this race last year, she got a little roughed up by some of the boys in competition, so as part of her stock car education, she took the dishing back out some of what she was getting. Danica again lined up in the 20th spot for today. Our 3 cowboys in the booth have been scouring the desert, the garage areas, to find out the stories we need to follow most in today's race. Here are Marty Reed, Dale Jarrett, and Andy Petrie. What's up, gentlemen?
We're going to get on our giddy up and gallop on out to the racetrack because it is a different story than last week. We have the new car, that's the same, but this is old pavement. I guess the question I got to ask both of you is, what's now the responsibility of the driver and the crew chief as we head into this event?
Well, these drivers are telling me that these new generation cars are a little more difficult to drive here. You know, there's not a lot of grip with this pavement. They have more downforce with these cars, but going through the center of the corner is a little bit more difficult. That's where you make a lot of speed. But their biggest responsibility is to try to tell the crew chief as much information, Andy, about that car as they possibly can. This is not a very long race. Don't get many chances to adjust.
Yeah, they need all the information they can because this car is going to be different to adjust than the car that they're used to, especially on this track. Not a lot of experience for these crew chiefs. They need that information from that driver as soon as they make one of those changes to know how much it changed it, how much it helped it, or whether they can do something similar to that on the next stop. Because like I said, they might not give it one more chance to adjust it.
Well, we always talk about how important qualifying is. Think about this. 15 out of 18 races here at Phoenix in the Nationwide Series has been won by a car in the first 2 rows, including the last 9. So here are the guys starting 1st through 4th. So my question for each of you is, pick a guy outside the top 4 who you think might break this streak.
Well, that's tough, Marty, because there's some heavy hitters in the top 4. But how about Trevor Bayne? I know there's a lot of people out there pulling for him to get that first Nationwide Series win, and all that momentum from Daytona might get him there.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to beat those top 4, but I'm going back to the 9th spot. The guy that Alan mentioned finished second here 3 times in a row. Kevin Harvick might get it done today.
And don't forget about Ryan Newman. He's going to be starting in the number 6 position. Let's go trackside because it's time to get the second race of the 2011 Nationwide Series underway.
Race fans, please welcome back Director of Non-Perishable and General Merchandise of Basha'S Supermarkets, Brian Roberts and his father Carl Roberts, as they deliver the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
Crank up, call me when it's ready.
Up and get him on around, back onto the track, but I'm not going to be any help till you get him in there.
From high above, the cars have fired, and we're getting ready to head out on to the 1 mile oval here at Phoenix International Raceway. And there's the 16 of Trevor Bayne. He is going to be our in-race reporter today. Who better after what happened last week at Daytona at the age of 20, becoming the youngest ever by 5 years to win the Daytona 500. It's been a whirlwind week, and it's his first race since that win. We'll talk to him when we come back. Earlier today, qualifying here at Phoenix International Raceway, and Joey Logano, He put it in the number 3 spot with a time of just over 27 seconds at 133 miles an hour. In the number 2 position, the man who's going to start on pole in the Sprint Cup race, it's going to be Carl Edwards. 27.001 the time at 133.3 miles an hour. And for Kyle Busch, he is going to be starting on point in 26.8 seconds, 134.2 miles an hour. And he was the youngest pole sitter ever here when he was 19 years old, and here he is on point again. See the starting field across the top of your screen. It's 40 cars, and that's the first short field we've had since 2008. While the cars make their way out on the track, gives us a chance to talk to our in-race reporter, Trevor Bain. Let's do it, DJ.
Hey, Trevor, Dale Jarrett, ESPN. You have a copy?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Trevor, our first question today comes from our mailbag, and Brad in Crossville, Tennessee asked, do you now have more confidence to make a run at the Nationwide Series Championship after your win last week?
It definitely helps, and going back and forth between the Cup cars and the Nationwide cars here in Phoenix is a big help, too. I've got double track time of what I would normally get. So I would say that win gave us a little bit more confidence, and so does the seat time.
Okay, Mr. 500, we've seen you on all the talk shows all around the country all week in NASCAR, not NASCAR settings, kind of. How was it coming into the garage area on Friday and seeing your peers?
It's been pretty wild, man. It's cool to see the support. They've been really good this week, very supportive. All the other drivers and crew members and guys that I've seen for the last 3 years that I've been around the garage area. It's just been really awesome to be back in my office here.
Okay, speaking of your office, this new car here at this racetrack, what have been the challenges that you've faced with it?
Oh, the thing that we find in these Nationwide cars is rear grip. With the way that the new bodies are, you don't have a whole lot of side force on the rear, so that's going to be big to be able to complete passes, to be able to turn down under somebody and still keep them hooked up. So I'd say that's the biggest issue that everybody's going to face.
All right, Trevor, we're glad you still had a voice to talk to us today. You have a great race, and we'll talk to you later on.
Thanks, guys.
All right, let's check in on the rest of our onboards. You know that Trevor has one. Let's also show you Elliott Sadler, Danica Patrick, Justin Allgaier, Jason Leffler, Stephen Wallace, Eric Almirola, and Ryan Truex. Our over-the-wall reporter there is our jack man for the number 16 of Trevor Bain. That's William Sturgill. William, you guys be safe down there. We'll be checking in on you throughout the day. Time for our Goodyear track facts, and the biggest fact is this is the last time we're racing on this surface in the Nationwide Series.
Yeah, there's some guys not too happy about that. They really like this old surface. What you won't see there on that graphic right there is there's not a lot of grip to be had, not a lot of banking here.
Well, one thing, Goodyear did a good job with this tire because they set a new track record in qualifying.
All right, let's check in on pit road quickly. The Dr. Jerry Punch.
Marty, the asphalt here at Phoenix International Raceway is worn out, so it has no grip, and that means that track position is so critical. That means these guys are going to have very difficult decisions behind me. Crew chiefs say you can change 2 right side tires and fill it up with fuel using 2 gas men in 2 seconds less, and you can change 4 tires with 1 gas man. That 2 seconds, that's track position, but at what cost? Jamie.
Well, Kevin Harvick is back in his Nationwide car for the first time this year, and he's working with his new crew chief, David Hyder. Now, it's been an uphill battle so far this weekend. The car was never quite right. In qualifying earlier today, he said it was extremely loose. However, he expects these cars to tighten up a lot more than the old car, and that could help him in the long run. Let's go upstairs to Marty Reed.
All right, thank you, Jamie. As the cars come through turn number 3 and 4 in the first 2 rows, 92 combined NASCAR Nationwide Series victories. On the front row, well, Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch have led 61% of the laps raced at Phoenix in the last 6 events. Cream rising to the top, you better believe it. They come out of turn 4. Pace car has pulled down onto the front straightaway, down the front stretch, and this race at Phoenix is green. In the pre-race, talk about how fast Kyle Busch was. You just got first lap pointed.
Well, I just got an indication of why. When he took off of that restart, he drove by those guys going through the gears. That tells me he's got a really good engine in that car. Oh, got a little contact here with Brian Scott and Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, Keselowski almost got into the outside wall off of 2. That's the tightest corner you have here.
Of course, Kyle won the truck race last night, looking to double up today. Trevor Bayne on the high side trying to get around the 11 of Brian Scott. There's the end of lap number 2. The lead is 0.8 of a second.
Yeah, to see him go down the front straightaway, one thing they usually battle at this time of the day is the sun right in their eyes going down into turn 1. We have a lot of cloud cover. That's one issue they won't have to worry about.
Let's go back and take another look at the contact.
You can see right there, Brad just gets a little bit loose, and as he corrects it back, he gets in the right front of Brian Scott.
From Trevor Bayne.
Good look right here from Trevor Bayne's car. Just right out of control off that corner to start with, and you just don't have a lot of room.
There goes Kyle Busch, second place. Carl Edwards, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Newman's up to 5th. Brian Scott 6th. Kevin Harvick has moved up to the 7th position. On board right now with Stephen Wallace. Right behind the 2 of Elliott Sadler as those two continue to chase down the 16 of Trevor Bayne.
Yeah, 3 guys right here that we expect to battle for the Nationwide Series Championship this year.
See, Trevor Bayne, he said he was struggling with rear grip. It looks like he still is. This car is a little different than the old car in that respect, and that was good insight that he gave us right before the race started.
Stephen Wallace trying to get down underneath him. They head down into turn number 1. His Roush Fenway teammate, Ricky Stenhouse in the 6th, coming up behind as well. Bayne holds off the 66 for the moment.
You can see it looks like Stephen Wallace's car is actually a little bit better. Can you get that run off the corner? That's where you really try to get position. But Stephen's car is really going through the center of the corner much better. Lower, he's not really having to fight it there.
The story of Stephen's races last week, of course, both in Nationwide and in the 500, tire failure as they had cut tires in both events. In fact, in Cup, he was running in 10th position when they lost that tire.
He really did an excellent job driving. The 500, he was very impressive. You know, he stayed out of trouble all day, had himself in a position to get a top 10, then had a flat tire late in the event.
Ricky Stenhouse, though, is trying to take the position away from him, and going down in the corner, he's got it.
Ricky Stenhouse picking up where he left off last year. He was moving forward a lot. The last half of last season, we see him doing that here today.
Stenhouse finished 9th in both races here last year, the only Nationwide driver with top 10s in both of those events.
It's going to be interesting to see how these cars progress balance-wise as they put laps on them. The old car used to kind of get tighter the more you ran it. We'll see if this car does that too, or whether maybe it goes loose like, you know, Trevor was talking about maybe losing a little bit of rear grip. Here's third spot swapping.
Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano. Keselowski in the 22.
Yeah, it looks like that little tap into the wall didn't bother this car a little bit at all. Looks like maybe it's actually tightening up a little bit, Dave.
Hey, DJ, he hasn't said that yet over the radio, but he's sure driving like it, isn't he? The spotter looked at it and said, you know what? It looks okay from up here. Just go ahead and drive it. And again, Brad has not said anything negative about that race car. I can see why.
A couple of cars have brought it down pit road, headed for the wall, behind the wall. Kelly Byers is just pulling back out on the track after making an unscheduled stop. But Justin Marks, Brett Rowe have headed towards the garage area. Danica Patrick started 20th right now, moving up into the 18th position. Vince?
Well, one of the things that Johnny Benson, who's been serving as driver coach this week for Danica Patrick, has stressed to her is the entry to your corner is going to help you when it comes to center off, and that's where they want to be good, from the center off. But you sometimes have to back up your corner on entry to make it better on the center off. It's one of the things they focused on throughout the course of the weekend. They like the way Danica's running here in the early going. Very steady. Marty?
All right, thanks for the update. You see Eric Almirola also getting around Ryan Truex. Truex going in the wrong direction right now. Let's move back up front, check in on our race leader, because Kyle Busch has opened up a 1.3 second margin. Gives you an idea of what the gap really is, as Carl Edwards is in second, Brad Keselowski is in third, and now Busch, we can tell you, has just passed 600 career laps led here at Phoenix. Doc, what's the latest?
Well, Carl Edwards said they are set up for long runs, Marty. Remember what you said a moment ago, a 1.3-second interval? Carl said for the first 7 to 10 to 12 laps, Kyle will pull away. Then he said it will stabilize, and then I will eat him up. I will run him down and pass him. He said, we are geared for long runs. Kyle will be a bullet early, or we'll catch him after lap 15 or 20 when the track comes to us.
Well, Doc, he's already running faster lap times than Kyle, so it's already started for him.
It's now down to 1.1 to back up exactly what the two of you are saying. Good point, Doc. Way to go. And you can see on the left side of your screen, Joey Logano's got his mirrors full of 33 of Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick's moving forward. Jamie was talking about his new crew chief, David Hyder. He is a short track specialist. He'll make this race car go around here.
They go around slower traffic. Give you an idea where the race leader is coming across the start-finish line. Kyle Busch has led all 13 laps here, or now after 14, as he's just crossed the stripe again. There's your top 5 here at Phoenix. And the Knicks are going to be in a foul mood after losing to the Cavs a little bit earlier this week. Back here at Phoenix, after 20 laps, we can tell you Kyle Busch has now put 5 cars down a lap just since we went to commercial break. But look just behind him, closing down to less than half a second, is Carl Edwards. In third, 5 seconds back, is Brad Keselowski. Dave, what are you hearing on the 18?
Well, Marty, until Carl Edwards started closing on him, there wasn't any discussion whatsoever for the leader. When Carl started moving in, crew chief Jason Ratcliffe said, what do you need? And then Kyle said, I need more turn and more drive on this race car. So far, it's had plenty, but here comes Carl.
Carl is closing.
That's a hard thing to fix, too, to get the car to turn better. And he says more drive, that means more rear grip off the corner. Getting both of those in one adjustment is kind of hard to do.
Well, he asked what he needed, so the driver just telling him.
And you guys said in the pre-race, you got to tell me everything the first time.
Yeah, you weren't giving me options of a number of things here.
Look at how this is closing down. The Mustang of Carl Edwards is narrowing the gap as he goes around the 14 of Eric McClure, putting him a lap down in 29th position, so 28 cars on the lead lap. We now have 5 cars behind the wall: Long, LePage, Byers, Rowe, and Marks. There you see the 7 of Danica Patrick. She is running in the 18th position behind Kenny Wallace in that 09.
Yeah, her teammate, that 88 car you see, the red car, Eric Almirola, passed her just a few laps ago. Looks like those cars are pretty close together.
Yeah, but she's really doing a nice job. She's passed some cars and drivers that normally run pretty well at this racetrack. So been pretty impressed so far with the job that she's doing.
Or Kenny Wallace, I should say, goes underneath Michael Annett. So Annett loses 2 positions in that lap. Danica's under attack now from Ryan Truex. He was going backwards. Now he's coming back forwards. And here is the 6th of Ricky Stenhouse, the 32 of Reed Sorensen. That is for 8th position.
New car is something that Ricky Stenhouse, too, has really adapted well to. He's had some good runs in these cars last year, so I think that it really kind of fits the style that he likes, or he's really giving them good information. Might not qualify quite as good, but he's really doing a great job in the race.
Well, I asked him yesterday, I said, any news? He said, yeah, I finally got my new Roush Mustang from Jack for winning Rookie of the Year honors. He says it's a slick piece. Here comes Ryan Truex around Danica Patrick. This is for 18th on the track.
Yeah, Ryan Truex struggled a little bit at the start of the race, and I wonder if he might have started that car a little bit too loose, and now Andy may be tightening up and coming back to him a little bit.
That's what it looks like. I mean, he's getting a good drive off the corner now, you can see.
See Ryan trying to open up a little bit of ground now. There you see it. He does get coming off that corner. He pulls her.
Yeah, it just looked like what I could see from that camera shot there and off of 4 the last time. Danica might be losing a little bit of her drive off.
A little bit further back, you've got Reed Sorensen right there in the 9th spot. Trevor Bayne closing in on him. Maybe Trevor's car is starting to come back to him a little bit.
Yeah, his car was pretty free in the beginning of the race. He lost a few spots.
Top of the hour, and if you're just happening to tune in, we want to let you know that there is our race leader, Kyle Busch. He's led all 28 laps that we have run so far since the drop of the green flag. His lead, though, has now gone back up to 1.2 seconds. Carl Edwards had been closing. In third place is Brad Keselowski, with Kevin Harvick and Joey Logano rounding out your top 5. In sixth place, you've got Ryan Newman, but let's go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance. Jamie Little, update us on 7th place.
That's right. That's Brian Scott making his second start this year for Joe Gibbs Racing. He had that contact earlier on with Brad Keselowski, but no word from him. The car seems to be pretty good. The one complaint he has, he's over driving the corners, and you often hear that from the young drivers. So they're coaching him, telling him to back it up to go faster. Right behind him, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. coming off a solid run last week at Daytona. He feels pretty confident returning here to Phoenix. The car right now seems to be pretty good. Of course, he's been talking with his buddy Trevor Bayne this week. Trevor actually has been helping Ricky Stenhouse adjust all year long, and you see the 6 car there getting involved in some traffic. Let's go to Dave Burns.
Back to Reed Sorensen, who during the first practice of the weekend spent a lot of laps on the track. A lot of laps, meaning he, among the front runners, he spent the most laps, 32 on the track, trying to get this race set up just right. So far for Reed, tight late exit and about as free as he can stand it, getting into the corner right there as he tries to hold off Trevor Bayne. Doc?
Right behind is Trevor Bayne, and even before Trevor Bayne won the Daytona 500, he went to Disney World. And why? Because they went to test their Phoenix setup. This car went to Disney World, and they put Carl Edwards setup on it, which is what he is driving right now. Trevor says, I'm trying to feel the car. I'm moving the car around. The track is coming to me. Not as quickly as it came to Carl, but we are getting better lap after lap. Behind him, in the 11th position, will be Elliott Sadler. What a disappointing beginning last week in Daytona. Sadler slipped into a wreck early on, finished 38, only because they worked really hard to get the car back on the racetrack. Elliott told me before he climbed in the car, I said, what are you going to do today? He said, I'm going to do everything that 33 car does, Kevin Harvick, because that guy is really good here. Jamie.
And behind him is Justin Allgaier in the 31, working with new crew chief this year, Jimmy Elledge, who comes over from the Cup Series. Jimmy told me it's been great being back here in the Nationwide Series. He said, though, they unloaded a brand new car yesterday, and they were just flat slow. They couldn't figure it out, but midway through second practice, they found that sensitive button. The car has come to life right now. He's saying the car is tight. Marty?
All right, thank you, Jamie. And as we've got the battle for the lead still widening again, Kyle Busch has opened up a 1.7 second margin over Carl Edwards. So what looked like he was going to make a battle for the lead has gone away, at least for the moment, the longer this run goes. Battle for 13th right there as Jason Leffler gets around the 66 of Stephen Wallace. Total of 23 cars right now on the lead lap. There's your top 5. We have been lean, mean, and green for all 35 of 200 so far here at Phoenix.
My name.
Back here at Phoenix International Raceway, where we've completed 40 laps non-stop, and you can see Kyle Busch is closing on Danica Patrick. Kyle leads 1.7 seconds over Carl Edwards. Danica running in 18th position. Gives you an idea just how good this number 18 Camry for Joe Gibbs Racing has been today. He has led every single lap. 5 cars are now officially out of the race. They're all parked. Long, LePage, Byers, Rowe, and Marks. Let's listen in on the 18 radio.
It went loose there for a while, but now the loose is back out of it. I don't know why. Now it's just make a change to help it turn and help it side bite.
Yeah, it's just like we talked about earlier. We don't really know. I mean, these drivers are really inexperienced with this car. Like you said, he didn't really know why that feeling went away, but it did, and that's the information, exactly the kind of information that Jason Ratcliffe needs to be able to adjust it.
You saw him fly around Derek Cope. He is 2 laps down right now in 32nd position, and Kyle is trying to make it his own little playground right now. 1.7 seconds back to the 60 of Carl Edwards. Kevin Harvick is 8 seconds behind in 3rd place. Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano round out the top 5. And the drivers currently in the top 5 won 28 of the 35 races last season, and not a single one of them are running for the Nationwide Championship. Kyle Busch keeps knocking the laps down. We're going to step aside for just a moment. After 44 of 200, he's led every single one of them. When it comes to the Nationwide Series, in this race last year, it was all about Kyle Busch. Despite a penalty for jumping a restart, he still came back to win handily. And right now, he is in control again today. We have knocked down a quarter of this race, 50 of 200 laps, and there's only been one leader, and you're looking at him, the 18 of Kyle Busch, and he is trying to make it 2 in a row. In fact, last night his Kyle Busch Foundation brought 80 kids from Sunshine Acres home here in the Phoenix area to the to the Camping World Truck Series race, and he didn't let them down. He won that one as well. Let's move a little bit further back. You've got Joey Logano now, his teammate, running in the 5th position. Dave Burns, what are you hearing?
Well, Marty, why can't he run up front like his teammate? Well, listen to the radio.
Just took off too loose there to have any track position. Right now I'm okay. A little bit tight, but I can do more with it right now.
He's feeding that information to his new crew chief in 2011, Adam Stevens, and that communication is very important because Stevens now has to figure out what to do with what Joey's telling him. But their communication is good because Stevens has been around Joey for quite a while, including every single one of his Cup starts up until this year. So they know each other, they know what a little loose or a little tight means, and Adam's going to go to work on it in this first pit stop, Marty.
And he's trying to track down that 22 of Brad Keselowski because that is for position. In fact, it's the closest battle we've got on the racetrack right now. 4th and 5th, and he's going for it.
Yeah, and you can just go by that information that he gave. His car was too loose to start this race. He fell back quite a bit, but now the car's tightened up some. His car's a lot better. Doesn't have caution.
Ryan Newman was in there as well, and we have our first caution here on lap 54. We have debris reported on the racetrack. So the 1.1 second lead as Carl Edwards was starting to chip away again. He got within about 0.4 of a second of Kyle Busch.
Clean the grill and a windshield, please.
That's going to be a crucial pit stop for a lot of cars to get those things adjusted right.
You were talking about the fact that you've got to give me all that information in our pre-race because we may only get 2 shots at this.
Yeah, just like what Joey Logano said, if I'm his crew chief, I'm taking that saying, okay, I don't want to get him loose because he was not fast. He couldn't do anything with a loose car. So we want to make sure he's tight. So we'll probably end up tightening the car up a little bit, see how it reacts.
One other thing to remember, last week was the first time we saw the new refueling system in action. The catch can man is no longer there, and everybody's still trying to figure out how to make this scenario work.
Yeah, because they're going to be making chassis adjustments, and without that extra man across the wall to help them do that, it's going to create a little bit of a challenge for these crews, and they're going to find out really for the first time making a 4-tire stop and adjustments with this new fueling.
This longest green flag stretch here to start a race since the first 150 laps were green in the inaugural race back in November of 1999. But we are getting ready for our first round of pit stops. We're heading through turn number 4. Here comes Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards leading him on down, and we're going to send it to Vince first.
In the 30 cars, Ryan Newman working with the Turner Motorsports team this week. First time that he and crew chief Stuart Cooper have worked together. Car's just a little bit too free for Newman there at the top of your screen. They're going to go down a couple of rounds on the track bar and make a 4-tire change with Sunoco fuel. Jamie Little?
And Kevin Harvick saying his car was very loose. Now his temps were getting up pretty high, about 250. They're pulling a piece of tape off, 4 tires. Doc?
Bottom of your screen, Carl Edwards said he is tight in the middle, loose off. They're going to take a half a round of wedge out, air pressure change. Dave.
4th place, Logano, track bar adjustment and air pressure. Leader, Kyle Busch, track bar adjustment and air pressure. He'll win the race off of pit road. Let's see who's second. It's Carl Edwards.
And you see everybody so far taking 4 tires. Last week, we didn't have anybody taking tires early in that race on that new pavement at Daytona. The biggest gainer, Trevor Bayne, picks up 2, and Justin Allgaier picks up 2 as well. Back here at Phoenix, where we're getting ready to go back to green flag racing, we've got a total now of 17 cars on the lead lap as Eric Almirola is the recipient of the lucky dog. Our leader is Kyle Busch with Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, your top 5. 5 cars out of the race. Green flag flies. We're racing again. Ryan Newman on the high side, but just like we saw at the start of the race, guys, the 18 just fired out.
I mean, he's gone on those restarts.
Now, we know that he's always been good, but it's just like he's got this thing so hooked up. He carries so much speed through the center, and then that just carries a lot of speed down the straightaways. He gets back to the throttle hard.
Carl Edwards is running in second place with Kevin Harvick and Ryan Newman right there in the 30 and 33. 22 of Brad Keselowski right behind them. Then Joey Logano in the 20 and Trevor Bayne in the 16.
Ryan Newman, you see him make that move on Harvick. He knows that he needs to strike really quick on these restarts to try to get some of that track position, because your car just drives better when you're up there in a little better track position.
Well, one of the things we heard during the break, we were listening in on the radio, Kevin Harvick was reporting higher water temperatures. We got a lot of wind here, about 25 to 30 degrees. Let's go ahead and listen in on that radio conversation.
10 more laps. We're 250. We're 51 laps into it. Talking about so intense, the water temperature keeps going up. 10-4. Need to run about 24 here if we can, Kevin.
Now, some of the guys were saying that a lot of debris is being blown because of these 20 to 30 mile an hour winds we're seeing.
Yeah, they're going to have to keep an eye on that, and this new car is going to be different, too, as far as how the grill gets clogged up with debris. It's not like the old car was. So, yeah, that 11 car right there getting just a little out of shape a few laps ago.
Yeah, and it cost Brian Scott dearly. He is in the 10th position right now, and you got Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who had worked his way up to 7th, fell back during the round of pit stops. He is in the 11th position, now on the high side, trying to take that spot away. Right behind both of them is Elliott Sadler. Talked to Elliott yesterday after the disappointment at Daytona. He said, look, if we could come out of here with 2 top 5s, it'd be great for morale. It'd be great for everything. And it's real early in the chase. I'm not worried about the points all that much yet.
Yeah, and I'll mention the 99 there, too. Ryan Truex, you talk about Eric Almirola getting the lucky dog, but Ryan Truex did a great job of staying on the lead lap. He was the next car to get lapped, but ran hard enough to be able to stay in front.
Yeah, let's get somebody else to call. Kenny Wallace in that 09. He's working all over Elliott Sadler right now, having a good race.
Just in case you're interested, that 7 car of Danica Patrick is in the lucky dog position right now in 18th position. The first car 1 lap down. But the 62 of Michael Annett, that is for position, and he is knocking on the door.
Yeah, rubbing on the rear bumper there a little bit. Got her a little bit out of shape. Couldn't get back to the throttle like she wanted. Now he's going to try to take that spot away.
She needs to race hard to try to stay in that spot.
Annett's got the low line, heading down towards 3. His teammate, Stephen Wallace, has his hands full with the 2 of Elliott Sadler. And the 99, here comes Ryan Truex underneath Sadler.
Yeah, looks like Elliott's really struggling with his car on these restarts on the initial go-to. Don't know if that's air pressure related or if they just have the car a little too loose to start with.
You see, Annett has gotten around Danica Patrick for that lucky dog spot. Let's get an update on the 99. How about it, Doc?
Well, guys, Ryan Truex, this is the kind of racetrack he grew up on. Flat, not a lot of grip, like New Hampshire. He said he won both the races at New Hampshire in the L&M Pro Series East last year. But the car was very, very tight at the beginning of the race. They made a major track bar adjustment, air pressure in 4 tires, and now it's a much better race car for the 18-year-old Ryan Truex.
Truex right now has Michael Annett closing on him. You can see the proximity from high above. We go on board. I'll let you know while all this action's going on deeper in the field, Kyle Busch still leads. His lead is now up to 2.5 seconds. That's the biggest. Martin Truex taking a look, keeping tabs on little brother. Martin's going to start in the 7th position in the Cup race tomorrow. Well, Ryan keeps running smoothly. Let's move back up front because Kyle Busch is leading Carl Edwards 2.4 seconds. It's 4 seconds back to 3rd place, who's now Ryan Newman.
Forward. This March, NASCAR is coming to the only track where they race 5 wide.
Go, 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 go.
When the biggest drivers bring the excitement of NASCAR to Auto Club Speedway, it's your one chance to
go.
Experience NASCAR actions at 5 wide at Southern California's home for racing. March 25th through 27th at Auto Club Speedway. For tickets to the Auto Club 400 weekend, call 800-944-RACE.
Go.
Live coverage of the Basha'S Supermarkets 200 coming your way from Phoenix. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. There's your leader, Kyle Busch, out in front of Carl Edwards by 2.3 seconds. ESPN, the home court of college hoops, continues with the Saturday primetime game tonight. Nolan Smith, Kyle Singler, and the Duke Blue Devils, Quiet Brad, look for a road win against Malcolm Delaney and the Virginia Tech Hokies. It's Saturday primetime presented by DirecTV. Part of Judgment Week presented by the Movie Battle Los Angeles at ESPN 9 Eastern. This game also available online at ESPN3.com and on your phone. From the ESPN pit studio, Alan, Rusty, and Brad riding on board with Eric Almirola in the 88 car. Got the free pass at that last caution, Vince. He's running 17th.
He is indeed. That's picked up 8 spots. They've been struggling a bit this weekend, so at least they're going in the right direction. But he was really banging the splitter hard in the initial stint here. So when they brought him in, they changed the tires on it, gave him 4 fresh ones, a couple of rounds, a round and a half in the front jack bolt because he said it was so tight and banging the splitter, handling much better now for Eric Almirola.
All right, thanks, Vince. So as we go back to the leader, Kyle Busch, on Countdown, a couple of themes for this race we talked about earlier. The nationwide teams running this next-generation car at Phoenix for the first time and the fact-finding mission they'd be on. And Joe Gibbs Racing, where did they stand with this new car? It looks like they stand pretty good, Rusty.
Well, they're standing pretty good right now. In fact, he is everybody's worry. He's the worst nightmare out there for the rest of these guys. I mean, they're thinking maybe they can catch this 18 car, but he's putting it on them again, Brad. I mean, lap after lap, he's the fastest guy out there, and I kind of thought that it wouldn't be this quick.
Oh, I did too. I mean, so much for this car equalizing the field somewhat. I mean, Kyle Busch is picking up where he left off from last year, just completely dominating this race, driving off. He's got Kevin Harvick and Brad Keselowski almost 7.5 seconds behind him.
Harvick running in 4th, Keselowski running in 5th, going past the 28th car to put another lap down on that machine. Now, looking farther back, the 3rd place driver, Ryan Newman, moved around Kevin Harvick after that last restart, after Harvick and Carl Edwards were side by side for a couple laps. Now Ryan Newman up to 3rd, making a one-off start here at a track where he was the Cup Series race winner this weekend of a year ago in that first race. Ryan getting a feel for this new Nationwide Series car.
Yeah, and he's doing a really good job driving this car for Turner. He's handling real well right now. They're learning a lot when it comes to air pressures and settings for the big race tomorrow here in Phoenix. But Stuart Cooper there looking on his crew chief, thinking, man, it's going good for me right now, Brad.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he's running quick lap times. He's second quick on the racetrack. And last lap, he was the quickest car on the racetrack. So hopefully he can march down and climb on the back of Carl Edwards and claw his way up to Kyle Busch and make a race out of this.
Vince has an update on Ryan Newman.
Well, it's interesting. This is the first time that Newman has worked with his crew chief, Stuart Cooper. In fact, Cooper works with a different driver just about every week. Last week it was Casey Kane. Newman this week. He's got Reed Sorensen next week. Cooper will work with the same driver in back-to-back races only twice all season. That sounds like that would be an extremely difficult task for the crew chief, but Coop said, you know, when you got guys like Kane and Sorensen and Ryan Newman in the car, makes the job a little bit easier. Newman having a very good run here in the early going. They've been quick all weekend.
And talent and experience helps a lot of things, Vince. Thanks. Ryan Newman again running in 3rd, 5.7 seconds behind Kyle Busch. Now, another thing we were looking for before this race started, pit stops. The new fueling system for the cars, eliminating the catch can man off the pit lane. This being the first race, Daytona was kind of a different animal with the tires and the new pavement and mostly being just fuel-only stops. This being the first race, we see the new pit stop choreography.
Yeah, take a look. This is last year. You see the catch can man there. He's in there. It's just an extra body over the wall. And NASCAR doesn't want that. That was 7 people right there. This year, they're going back to 6.
Yeah, you see him put a little crank in the right rear. He comes over, puts a little crank in the left rear. He's doing it all back here in his catch can.
So that was the guy that did all the adjusting last year. Well, he's out this year. So there's the rear tire carrier on Carl Edwards' pit stop.
They've all got to do a little different job this time because there is no catch can man, like I said. See, that's right there. He's making an adjustment on the track bar. In fact, that was a wedge. The thing that looks so cool, though, the back of the car is real clean now. That catch can guy is not there. I think it's much safer.
So a little bit different pit stop choreography that the team's adjusting to. Pit stops on that one for most of the leaders in the 14-15 second bracket in the only pit stop that's been had in this race so far. Race number 2 of the NASCAR Nationwide Series 2011 unfolding at Phoenix International Raceway. We're just shy of halfway. Kyle Busch has led every lap so far of the 84 that have been run. Cars on the lead lap. At the moment, there are 17 of them. And we've only had the one yellow flag that came out at lap 53 for debris on the racetrack. Kyle with a 3-second lead over second place Carl Edwards. Riding on board with Justin Allgaier a little bit farther back in the field. Allgaier running in 10th, trying to take 9th away from Mickey Stenhouse Jr. It is Busch, Edwards, Newman, Harvick, and Keselowski, your top 5.
Great view of Phoenix International Raceway, where our race leader for every lap has been Kyle Busch, all 91 of them, and their fastest lap at 131.6. And Trevor Bayne, of course, everybody's interested in Trevor after winning the 500. He's currently running in 7th. We have a total of 17 cars on the lead lap. Jennifer Jo Cobb has just taken her car off the track. She's not officially out of the race, but 5 cars are. The lead right now for Kyle Busch is 3 seconds over Carl Edwards, and then over the 30 of Ryan Newman, it's 8.8 seconds. And then in 4th place, 9.6 seconds back, is the 33 of Kevin Harvick. What's the latest you're hearing, Jamie?
Well, Marty, we heard Alan Bestwick talking about the teams adjusting to all these changes on these cars. Well, they're trying to learn what to do to make the cars better, and it's not working. Not one car in my section is happy with the adjustments they made on that first round of pit stops. The 33 included. Kevin Harvick, they made one round of wedge in the left rear. Kevin said that was the wrong thing to do, a bad adjustment. I am barely hanging on. Dave?
Jamie, I'm with the stack of tires that came off of Brad Keselowski's car. What an adventure. Remember he said there was no big deal with the contact on the track? Well, this on the top here, you can see this was a contact with the other car on the racetrack, not just the wall. And then the caution was for debris. Guess who might have hit it? And then if you go down to the bottom of the stack, you get the right front tire on Brad Keselowski's car. Cords showing on that tire. What a stack to take off that car. Good thing they got it off. Tim Brewer, you're in the Craftsman Tech Garage. For that right front, what's the best way to cut back on the abuse?
Well, you can do several different things. Air pressure, camber initially, but still yet. Right now, the only adjustment you can make inside the car, you got get some of that brake off the right front. So by manipulating this knob right here, Dave, you come out, you change the brake bias. By meaning brake bias, the balance between the front wheels and the rear wheels. And if you turn the knob and put more brake to the rear of the car, you're going to relieve a little bit of that pressure on that right front tire. Guys?
All right, thank you, Tim. Keselowski, 10 seconds behind the race leader right now, running in the 5th position. Right behind him, a pretty good battle starting to shade up. Joey Logano and Trevor Bayne. And a little further back, you can see Elliott Sadler, Kenny Wallace, and Wallace having a great run. They're 11th and 12th.
Yeah, Kenny Wallace has been running really well. He ran a lot of these cars down past him, but now you see Elliott Sadler's car kind of coming back to life after kind of struggling after that restart.
Saw the 70 of Shelby Howard, let you know that he is in 27th position, 2 laps down. Vince, give us an update on that 09.
I'll tell you what, there may be faster cars out there. Kenny Wallace is running in that about 6th to 10th in terms of lap times, but I don't think you'll have anybody out there that's having any more fun. He and crew chief Scott Zipadelli have really hit on something here. Kenny a moment ago came on the radio and said, I'm having the time of my life. This car is hauling. Kenny Wallace likes the car, is having a lot of fun. Things are going well for the 09 here in the early going, running right about 10th or 11th right now. Doc?
And Elliott Sadler there in the 2 car was hoping to have a very good run today. And when early on the car was so loose he couldn't drive it, and they made an adjustment. They had made a wedge adjustment, air pressure, 4 tires. He said, but the adjustment helped a little bit, and now it has gone the other way. He said the front end is sliding. It is very loose. He said the car is just bad. I'm doing everything I can out here. I just can't move up. Maybe the next stop they can make another change there on the 2 car.
Well, Elliott's best finish here was 2nd back in the April race of 2005. He's raced here in the Nationwide Series 4 times prior. Danica Patrick about to go 2 laps down. As you can see from her onboard camera, she is in 20th position. Talked to Tony Uri right before the start of the race. He said if we can finish top 20, he'd be happy with that for the 7 car.
She's not doing a bad job. It's just that Kyle Busch is driving in this race and putting a lot of people a lap down and 2 laps down.
I can tell you 16 cars are now on the lead lap. Eric Almirola is again 1 lap down. He got the lucky dog at the one and only caution. That's Trevor Bain's view of Joey Logano right in front of him. That is 6th and 7th on the track.
Yeah, Trevor's leading the charge for all the nationwide eligible drivers in this race so far. All the top 5 are Cup drivers and not eligible for the championship.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Logano really improved his car. I don't know what adjustments they made on that car exactly, but it hasn't really improved from what they had on the first time. They really picked up a lot of speed as the laps wound down in that first run, but it doesn't look like that's the case here. May have gotten it a little too tight because he was loose to start with.
Well, let's find out. Dave, what are you hearing about the 20?
It's funny you should say that because Joey's comments about 10 laps ago were, it feels good, but where's the speed? He just can't figure out where the speed might be in adjusting this race car. They made a track bar adjustment, little air pressure adjustment. The balance is okay, but they're thinking about maybe coming up on air pressures all the way around just to try to get a little bit more of a boost.
Well, sometimes, though, that feeling of that comfort can slow the car down. And, the input we heard from Joey was that he needed the car to be a little bit tighter. This is something maybe they just learned, that making the car tighter slower.
Darrell Waltrip told me a long time ago when I first was getting started racing, I was asking him about my car. He said, well, tell me about it. I said, well, it actually feels pretty good. He said, there's your first problem. Yeah, a lot of times to go fast, it doesn't feel that good.
Well, we've passed halfway, got 98 laps to go. Kyle Busch has still led every single lap today. But as you can see from this view, a little good action going on between these two. Certainly not the two-car tandems that we saw at Daytona.
Well, they're trying to reenact that to pick up a little speed here, but not going to quite work here at Phoenix.
Now 97 laps to go, and for Trevor Bain, he is carrying the flag of the nationwide eligible for the championship drivers. He's in 7th spot right now, and it's still everybody chasing Kyle Busch, with Carl Edwards 2nd, Ryan Newman 3rd, Kevin Harvick 4th, and Brad Keselowski in the number 5 slot. We have another tire situation for the 66. We mentioned it earlier in the race because Stephen Wallace is coming down pit road, and don't think this is scheduled.
5 away, break left, right here, right here, right
what
here.
What can you tell us?
Yeah, right rear tire, guys. He had a right rear tire go down in practice, and he said the cars are so tight, he's having to completely turn the steering wheel left and slide the car in the corner. It will not turn, and they have just worn that right rear tire off the car. Steven's so excited about what this day would mean. 4 tires, he is down and away.
Well, you hear him talking about how the car's tight, but he wore the right rear tire out.
Lost her right front here.
And
right
just
front
as
tire,
that
guys.
happens, the 22 of Brad Keselowski's into the wall.
Now, that might be some of that right front tire that they had with the problem they had earlier. That could definitely be a problem and an issue for them here.
Our second caution here at lap number 106.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Now, remember last week
right
when he
front
finished
tire, right?
3rd at the Daytona due to that crash,
Yeah,
it ended
just
his
get ready to come
nationwide
over here
series
and say I
streak
had a small push.
of 102 races running at the finish.
That's a hard lick right there, and that's about the same amount of laps on this run that he ran that last run where we saw cords on his right front.
So after finishing 102 straight, he's going to go 2 DNFs back-to-back. Unless they can fix this thing.
Well, they might be able to fix it, but it won't run very fast. They're going to lose a lot of time doing it.
Stephen Wallace is back in. We can tell you Mike Wallace, he's got a flat right front tire as well. So all of a sudden, tires becoming a bit of an issue.
Here.
There it is. You can see it.
But these new cars, they have to use more brake on these cars, and that can create more issues, especially on the right front tire.
Over here, 4 tires, 4.
Can we say sense of urgency?
Yeah, that was Brad Parrott. He's trying to get these guys to change those 4 tires before the pace car comes around.
Brad is out of the car, and we're going to have pit stops under the yellow again. Vince, you're up.
Well, it's been a pretty good run so far for this Turner team with Ryan Newman in the seat. He started 6th. He's up to the top 3. It's a Sunoco fuel, 1 can of Sunoco fuel, 4 tire change, and going down a couple around on the track bar to snug it up. Jamie?
Kevin Harvick saying his car is rotating so hard it's just laying over on the right rear. Wedge adjustment, track bar, air pressure, and 4 tires, Doc.
Carl Edwards loose on entry, said they're going to lower the air pressure to get maximum grip, lower the track bar, 4 tires, first stickers of the day.
Leader Kyle Busch. Hey, gas man Scott Wood dropping barely a drop. Excellent fueling on that stop. They also got 4 tires, made an air pressure adjustment and a little track bar adjustment, same as before. He leads off pit road again.
Race off pit road. You can see that Harvick, Logano pick up 1 spot each. Newman drops 2. Big gains for Leffler. and Brian Scott as they pick up 4 apiece. All right, let's go back and show you what happened to the 22.
Yeah, this is coming out of turn 4. This is where you have the most load on the car right here. You see that tire lets go straight into the wall. Nothing the driver can do in that situation, but that just, I don't know if you had a cut in that tire or if it was an issue again of maybe brake heat and then cutting it down.
So a hard lick into the turn 4 exit for the 22 of Brad Keselowski, our defending series champion. Let's go on board with Trevor Bayne.
Yeah, you can see just up ahead.
Back it down, slowing ahead. Easy, come on the bottom, come on the bottom. Caution, caution, there you go. Nice work, buddy, nice work.
Spotter gives him a good call. Trevor gets by clean and easy. Not so easy for Brad Keselowski today. Stay with us.
Different twist on our 5-hour Energy Rapid recap. Kyle Busch's last 3 Nationwide Series races here at Phoenix have been weird. Lap 9, racing for 4th in November 2009, gets involved in an incident, comes back to finish 9th. This is last spring, last April, a restart at lap 137, where NASCAR says after an accident behind Kyle, when they felt like he maybe brake checked the field, that Brad Keselowski's the leader. On the next restart, Kyle takes off. He gets penalized, storms back through the field to win the race.
He's went through a lot at this particular racetrack, but he loves this place. As you can see now, been dominating all day long, but tell you what, Brad, I mean, this guy's went through everything. Spinning the infield, jumping restarts, all kind of stuff, but he still gets it done.
Fall 2010, we had a little hole in the tire, a little flat tire issue. He has seen a myriad of problems at this racetrack, but one thing for sure, he is on his game today.
Well, all of that leading up to the event today where Kyle Busch has led every one of the 111 laps run so far. Last night in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race, he led 107 laps en route to victory lane.
Wow.
He's got 89 more to go here today as we go upstairs to Marty, DJ, and Andy. Are you feeling the deja vu?
Well, and don't forget, he's the only one to ever sweep an entire weekend. Did it last fall at Bristol, winning all 3 National Touring Series races that weekend. And right now, he is definitely in the driver's seat. In fact, the first 3 cars have 18 NASCAR wins in all the divisions. Among those top 3 of Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, and Kevin Harvick. Lucky dog for the second time goes to Eric Almirola. Only 15 cars on the lead lap, and Trevor Bayne, the leading driver in the nationwide only category, actually right behind Sorensen. Now, Reed is running 6th. Trevor is in 7th. Pace car pulls off. Kyle has been on the low side on both of the restarts. And green flag flies, and will he fire out the cannon again? Carl's trying to stay with him. How many times have we seen this scenario? 3 to be exact.
Carl did a good job on the start. The initial start, he stayed right with him going through the gears, but as soon as they hit that corner, that 18 car was gone.
Joey Logano's got his hands full with Ryan Newman in the 30, Logano in the 20. Right behind him, Reed Sorensen, Trevor Bayne. Sorensen in the 32, going to follow his Turner teammate.
Yeah, these Turner guys look like that they've made some good adjustments on their race cars. Maybe a little better than everybody else. See Trevor Bayne a little out of shape there in the middle of 3.
That opened the door for Leffler. In fact, the crew has nicknamed him Left Turn. That's what's on top of the door instead of his name.
See, once again, Joey Logano struggling on this, the restarts here. Just can't seem to get that car up to speed. It's amazing that his car can be like that, and Kyle Busch just takes off and runs and hides from everybody.
Logano side by side with the 32 of Reed Sorensen.
Now, I know we give Kyle Busch a lot of credit, but, you know, we were talking about this car equalizing them. Maybe it's time that we say it might not be the car, it might just be Kyle Busch.
Might be.
Well, I asked Brian Scott, do you guys feel like you lost your advantage? Everybody says it was an aero deal for the Joe Gibbs Racing Machines. He goes, no, they've always had the better drivers. And he says, I want to be one of them.
Yeah, but Joey Logano has beaten Kyle Busch toe-to-toe. So, you know, today his car is just not quite as good as the 18.
Well, that 32 car has now cleared that 2-car race that was going on. Let's get an update on the 32. How about it, Dave?
And Marty, a good chance that he'll be the championship leader leaving Phoenix this weekend. Remember, he's one of the regulars who's going to run for this championship. So that change they made on the first pit stop worked well. Reed said, I need some more of that. And they did another bit of wedge and air pressure for Reed on that run, and he's making up time.
You're right. If he can hold on, he would be the points leader in the Nationwide Championship ahead of Trevor Bayne and the 38 of Jason Leffler. All right, Brad Keselowski is out of this race, and Vince is caught up with it.
Tough break for last year's season champion, running 5th in this race. Tire goes down, hit the wall. Did you have any warning at all that it was coming?
Yeah, about like a split second before I hit the wall. Just really unfortunate. I think we had a decent car today. Our discount tire Challenger was, decent. It wasn't quite what we want to run with 18 to 60, but certainly don't want to be back here in the garage. Not going to learn anything that way. So I have to go look at it, see what happened. This is the new car for the Nationwide Series, and we brought a new tire to the track this weekend. So, you get one set of tires in practice to figure it out, and we missed it. So, I wish we had more opportunities, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see more tire failures during the weekend.
Yeah. Glad you're okay. Good luck tomorrow, Brad. Marty?
Well, the last time Brad had DNFs in consecutive races, Las Vegas and California back in 2008. That's when he started that record 102 race run. Last 3 cars on the lead lap, and you're looking at them as it is Stenhouse, Almirola, and Sadler. Ryan Truex in front of Elliott. He's running in the 12th spot, leading that pack.
Well, Elliott has just not been able to go on the restarts, and actually for quite a few laps after that. See right here, these other 2 cars, Eric Almirola and Ricky Stenhouse, taking advantage of that.
Yeah, it literally takes 20 to 25 laps for Elliott's car to come in, which is a little longer than some of these others. That could get him in trouble because they started so far back on this restart after having to make enough extra pit stop to get extra fuel in.
Yeah, you can kind of get away with that if you can start up there in top 3 or 4. Your car doesn't go quite as good on restarts. You fall back a little and then come back. But when you start at the tail end, you can't afford to lose any.
Well, we had a chance to sit down with Elliott about the disappointment of last week at Daytona. How do you rebound from that?
Let's get working together. Let's get some momentum. Let's get this thing going in the right direction. So as far as using Daytona to go to another track, not really. As far as just taking what we've learned, as far as the disappointment from it, let's turn that around, make it into a positive. Let's get some momentum going. Let's get this sense of urgency up a little bit for the next couple weeks, and let's go do some racing.
Elliott told me Ernie Cope, his crew chief, called him this Sunday morning after the race. He said, hey, he was pumping him up, letting him know we're behind you. He said, I haven't had a conversation like that with any crew chief in the last 3 years. He said, man, it just lifted me right up. So right now, Elliott Sadler running in 15th position. He's the last car on the lead lap, and Kyle Busch is trying to make this his own show for the 2nd day in a row. He won the truck race, and he's on his way to another one here. Welcome back to the Basha'S Supermarkets 200 at Phoenix. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. And while we've got a quick moment, while Kyle Busch continues to lead by over a half a second, let's talk about the calendar. Craig and O'Reilly Auto Parts NHRA Winter Nationals. The season kicks off qualifying tonight at 11 Eastern on ESPN2. And yes, they did get some runs in today, despite the rain over there. Finals are tomorrow, and it's supposed to be a beautiful day, 7 Eastern on ESPN2. NASCAR Now tomorrow at 9 a.m. and again at Monday at 5 Eastern. Both of those on ESPN2. And then next Saturday, the NASCAR Nationwide Series, race number 3 from Las Vegas will be over on ABC starting at 2:30 Eastern. Well, you're on board that. Whoa, and as he goes flying around Jennifer Jo Cobb, he has to check up just for a moment. That is Jason Leffler, one of the Steve Turner Motorsports entries, and there is the man who has put together this team. And these cars are all new, just like all, but I mean, they are so pristine. When you look underneath, the detail is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, he needs to be smiling a little bit more. He's got all 4 cars in the top 11 here. They've made good adjustments. Drivers are doing a great job. See Ryan Newman up in 4th, Sorensen 5th, Allgaier 10th, Jason Leffler 11th. That's a pretty strong day.
And why don't we go nationwide up to speed on the Turner Motorsports cars and update it, Vince?
Well, Marty, as you indicated, a lot of new cars, a lot of new people, and the results have been real solid, at least in regards to today, for sure, for Steve Turner and Turner Motorsports. Remember, they switched to Chevy. They've got Hendrick power under the hood. Since mid-October, this group has built 22 new chassis in-house. And they've got guys like that guy right there, Ryan Newman, driving the car. Casey Kane, Jason Leffler, some of the other big names in this series, Justin Auga. They have a first-class operation. We're going to talk a lot about these guys this season. Dave Burns?
As for Reed Sorensen, we already talked about how the adjustment was going the right way. He's picked up one spot since that restart. And what he had to say about the organization was the same thing. In fact, what Marty mentioned, pristine. He said, if you looked inside my race car, I said, no, I hadn't. So I went and did it. Metal flake paint on every roll bar inside that car. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and the drivers like to drive them. Reed said, you know what, I don't know if it's worth any speed, but the sponsors like it. We want to attract more sponsors, Jamie.
And a new teammate for him, Justin Allgaier, of course, new to the team this year. You're riding on board with him right now. Car has been okay today, but he had a problem on pit road. They're trying to get this car and the floorboard adjusted so it fits Justin just right. But on the last round of stops, his foot slipped off the clutch and he fell off the jack, so that cost him some serious time on pit road. Now behind him is his teammate Jason Leffler. Jason has been struggling with this car all day long, saying he's wrecking in every turn on every lap. The car is getting better since the last round of stops. Now keep in mind, he has a Class A team pitting him today. Jimmy Johnson's Cup team taking him over the wall. He gained 5 spots on the last round of stops. Marty?
All right, thanks. And this is fun to watch for these guys because for Jason Leffler especially, I teased him about most guys have to go hunt a new ride. All you had to do was hunt a new owner.
Yeah, and he's got a good one there. I was talking about him not smiling, though. Andy, I guess as an owner, you might have 4 cars in the top 5, but if they're not leading the race, you're not smiling, are
That's
you?
exactly right. You came here to win the race, and they're good, but they're not quite where they need to be.
Well, you can see, just looking at Steve, how windy it is. The gusts are between 25 and 30 miles an hour, but it's not slowing Kyle Busch down. He has set sail with 64 laps to go. He's led every single one. It's always fun when we come out to Phoenix because you know you're dealing with a nice, tight, short track, and this one has seen a lot of action, especially now recently with the several cars tagging the wall after having tire issues. One guy has had no issues, the 18 of Kyle Busch. He has led every single lap, now leading 143 of the scheduled 200. And if you're wondering how many times has somebody led every single lap in a nationwide race and gone on to win, we have that answer for you. Oh, I thought we had the answer for you. There it is. 13 times. And the last was Dale Jr. at Daytona in July of 2003. And guess who was one of the other guys, Andy?
Hey, again?
No. How about Dale Jarrett? You did it in Orange County in August of '86.
First win, yeah.
Didn't even remember that, did you?
No, I didn't, to be quite honest, yes.
All right. Well, welcome to the club. All right, let's talk to the man who's going to call the shots on this last pit stop that we should be seeing upcoming soon. That would be Jason Radcliffe, and Dave Burns is with him.
Well, Marty, we've talked about how well Kyle is running. Is it safe to say you guys have come to grips with this new car now?
Yeah, I think so. We're doing a lot better. Our interstate battery Toyota's been pretty good. The race team's been awesome on pit road, obviously, and the driver's doing a great job. So we got about probably one more stop right here. We've been keeping up with the racetrack, just small adjustments here. So one more stop, we'll see if we can get it done.
All right, we'll see what the driver wants this time. Dr. Punch?
Well, I told you earlier that Mike Beam, crew chief for Carl Edwards, said they are set up for long runs. And although they have gotten better and better and gained on Kyle Busch, they have not been able to pass him today. Now, that's Mike Beam on the right of your screen. Now, Mike said we can make some major adjustments in this final stop to convert this car from a long-run car to a short-run car. But if we do, it's got to be less than 30 laps to go, or else we will burn the tires off of it by making those changes. Andy Petrie, I'm asking you, what would Mike Beam do? How big of an adjustment would it be to change this car from long run to short run? And would you do it right now to try to catch Kyle Busch?
Well, you got to do something. He's going to get beat otherwise. I'd say roll the dice, see what happens. Things you can do, Doc, would be to raise the track bar up if his car's a little bit tight. It's going to abuse, like you said, the right side tires a little more. He can pump the air pressures up so it gets going quicker. I mean, I'd try something. What do you think, Dale?
Yeah, you can try something, but I'll give you the rest of the day to try whatever you want. Hey, and unless something happens to this 18, you're not going to. He's fast, and he's good for the short run and long run.
There's something we better throw into the equation right now while you're watching the battle for 6th place. 7 of the 18 races here at Phoenix have gone green, white, checker. So if you're going to set up for a short run, that's going to play into that if it happens.
Well, he can't beat him in the long run. He's tried all day long, so I'd try something. I'd go down fighting.
How about the 01 of Mike Wallace? The car, we've noticed this. Keep an eye on him. You're going to notice he's got no track bar.
Oh, no, he's got it's a front sway bar, actually, Marty. Watch this. They blew that right front tire and ground the link off of the sway bar. You can see just how much that car is rolling over. Almost looks like it's going to turn over in the corners. As compared to these two cars, you see how flat the nose is when they go through the corner.
They're running for 6th and 7th position right now. Let's get an update on that 20 car. Dave?
Well, he thinks the track is tightening on him for one thing. He thinks he's working his right front too hard. We saw what that could do earlier when Brad Keselowski hit the wall after losing the right front. So he just can't get the back end free. So working the right front hard, can't get the back end free. And Joey's lost 2 positions since the restart.
Yeah, Dave, that's a good point. We see him down the apron a lot. And what he's trying to do is get this car freed up a little bit. That'll help the car turn a little bit and try to break the back end loose to where he's not abusing that right front. He doesn't want to have an issue there.
Yeah, last week, for anybody remembering, not a regular with the series, the yellow line was out of bounds. That's not the case here at Phoenix.
Man, look at Trevor Bain slide his car all the way through the corner. He's working up about 2 lanes higher because it looks like his car is a little bit looser.
Of course, Trevor right now still relishing everything that happened after last week's huge win at the Daytona 500. We had a chance to talk to him. What was the highlight for him?
I got a call from the White House. Joe Biden, the vice president, talked to me, talked to Tim Tebow on the phone, met George Lopez and Ellen DeGeneres. Bobby Valentino texted me the other day, the singer, and I'm like, what is this? Like, what's happening, you know? And so it's been crazy, but it's been a lot of cool stuff.
No doubt Trevor Bain is the hottest thing going in NASCAR right now, and his race car is the hottest thing on the racetrack. In fact, it is overheating significantly right now. They are watching it very closely. You need to get any water pushed out of the car. Trevor hanging on, but he would love to be able to see a yellow flag to get this thing on, to get some tape off that grill and cool that Ford Mustang down.
We've got a piece of tape right in the center. We're running a fan here. Next time we get up on somebody, we want to cut it off when we can get right on somebody. 11's 2 back. We're going to try to get up on him.
So you can see the problem right there on the front of the car, and could be very costly.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that they're not getting some rubber buildup on there, too, because we have a little bit better tire. All 3 of the series here set track records. That generally tells you that the tire compound is a little softer, so they're going to get a little bit more rubber. That goes right into the grill a lot.
So we'll keep tabs on Trevor Bain's situation right now as he's got Brian Scott closing on him. They're going to be duking it out here shortly for 7th position. Meanwhile, it is still Kyle Busch with 45 laps to go. He's putting Danica Patrick now 3 laps down. She's running in 18th. Kyle is cruising. Kyle Busch still well in control of this race. He has led all 162 of 200 laps. His lead over Carl Edwards has grown to 3.7 seconds. Kevin Harvick is third, 14 seconds back. He's lapped all but, well, through 12th place now. He just put Elliott Sadler a lap down in 13th. Looking a little bit further back in the field, look at Kenny Wallace, a great run. He is running in the 9th position at 09.
He's been solid all day long, and he's been good on pit road, too. The pit crew's done their job. They gained him a spot. I say Scott Zipadelli and Kenny Wallace are a good combo.
His last top 10 finish, August 2009, 50 races ago, and he said, I finally am in a car where I can show people what I can do, DJ.
Yeah, you know, these guys like Kenny Wallace, that are proven winner, they don't forget how to drive. They just, unfortunately, he hasn't been in the right situation. He has the equipment now showing exactly what he can do. Great run today.
And he's a lot of fun to race with.
Oh,
he's running good. I mean, he is a ball to race with.
That's Justin Allgaier right behind him now. He looks like you notice the damage there on the front splitter.
Yeah, it looks like he's been hitting the ground a little bit there, and he's got some damage from a yellow flag.
Caution.
Trevor Bain has tagged the wall. Caution is out. And is it another tire?
Come across, come to the pit road. You're good.
Bain was
front.
Yeah,
Come on down. We'll probably have to go to the garage. Come to the pit box first because it's on the way.
So his first race back from his big Daytona 500 win is not going to end the way he wanted it. He was running in the top 10, but you can see the damage on the right side of the 16.
Yeah, this sport has a way of bringing you back down to earth pretty quickly, and that'll certainly do it. He's having a great run, doing a really good job.
It's William Sturgill, our over-the-wall reporter and camera.
They're going to try to get a tire on this thing and see what they got.
You got to get that piece of splitter off.
Be surprised if they don't have to go behind the wall here to finish.
All right, Robert, come back over the wall. Cody, go over and look at it. Look at all the suspension there.
Hey, hold the brake! Hold the brake!
Yeah, need to put a tire on it, go behind the wall, sway bars busted out of it. Yep, put a tire on there and roll them around the wall.
Okay, so you heard that they're going to have to take him behind the wall. Pits are closed, and they almost came in.
Carl had made a move to pit road there. It looks like he may have just avoided that cone.
When it's open and we're coming. Close, guys.
Elliott Sadler's going to get the lucky dog. Let's go back and show you what happened on board with Trevor Bayne. Let's just listen.
Yeah, you can hear right there exactly whenever that tire let go, the right front tire went down.
That's the kind of surprise it blew the right front. We saw him so loose most of that run. You'd think the right rear would be taking most of that abuse.
In fact, in our last commercial break, you had mentioned to us privately here, you said that the right rear was going to be suspect.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how much of this is possibly coming from the brake heat. These guys were telling me how far down in the corner they could drive these cars, but if you're going to do that, you're going to probably have to be on the brake a little bit more. If you don't have the cooling exactly right yet with these.
Yeah, that's one of the things that the Cup teams had to learn with their new car when it came online, is that it does take a lot more braking, that they had to develop their brake packages to be a lot more durable, and I think we might see that happening here in this series.
Let's update you on some other cars. 8 are totally out of this race right now. Morgan Shepherd, Brad Keselowski, Darrell Haar, Carl Long, Kevin LePage, Kelly Byers, Brett Rowe, Justin Marks. And it looks like now everybody's coming down pit road. So, final stop. Let's check in with Vince Welch.
Well, Ryan Newman was about 7 laps short on fuel as he came in. He's also 2 free entering 3. They're going to go down around on the track bar, around a wedge, and 4 tires for Ryan Newman. Jamie?
Kevin Harvick wants 2 pounds of air added to the right rear, 4 seconds of fuel, and 4 tires for the 33. Doc?
Mike Beam has made the call. Major swing here for air pressure. Going to try to make it a short-run car for Carl and give him a shot at Kyle Busch. Dave?
Leader Kyle Busch loose for the first 20 laps, so he needed side bite he talked about. Air pressure adjustment only, and he once again is the first one off of pit road.
Only 12 cars on the lead lap. That's why it looked a little sparse down there. As Sorensen picks up 1. Justin Allgaier picks up 2. Stenhouse and Leffler pick up 1 each. So there is Trevor Bayne, as he is, well, not having the kind of day that he wanted. And here's why.
Only at NASCAR.com.
Getting ready to go back to green at the end of our third caution. Kyle Busch has led every lap, all 169 so far. Elliott Sadler got the lucky dog. 13 cars on the lead lap. 3 waiver rounds. Shelby Howard, Derek Cope, and Jennifer Jo Cobb. Pace car pulls off, and Kyle again takes the inside line. Green flag flies, and here we go. See a 3-4 car battle there, but look at this. At this time around on the restart, Carl was at least a little closer to Kyle, and here comes Stenhouse. Going to try and make it 3 wide. No, he thinks better of it. That's the 31 of Justin Allgaier right in front of him.
Yeah, Rick Stenhouse trying to get his car back up there where he had it early in the race. They lost a few spots in the pits early on. He's been trying to make that up.
He's got Jason Leffler on his inside there. On board with Leffler. Look out. This could, yeah, we got a little rubbing.
You got to hope that didn't cut a tire down there or get that left rear quarter panel in on that tire a little bit more.
Well, I'm impressed with Stenhouse how he raced through that. That's pretty good contact.
28 laps remaining. Here's some more action a little bit further. As you got the 66, Stephen Wallace. The 51 also involved with Jeremy Clements. These cars also laps down.
Laps down, but everybody getting down inside of 30 laps to go now. See, Carl Edwards has been able to hang with him for a few laps here.
Well, we heard Doc say they made a major adjustment here to try to make this car be a short-run car. I wonder if they made it the right one.
I don't know if they did. He wasn't in the pits long enough, I don't think, to make enough adjustments to catch that 18 today.
Well, he's only 0.2 of a second off, and after every other restart, by this point, it was at least a half a second, if not longer.
Well, maybe Kyle just felt like we need to make a race this. He knows it's getting down to the end. Make it exciting for the fans and all of our fans watching at home.
It's more exciting for him if he takes off and wins it, though.
Well, as we pointed out, these two combined coming into this race had led 61% of the laps in the last 6 events, and Kyle's adding to that. Let's get an update from Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, I told you Mike Beam wanted to make a major swing in it. He didn't have enough time, as DJ and Andy said, to be able to do all the chassis adjustments. All they could really do was raise the air pressure, which would make the car better in the short term. Here's the bad news, though. The longer they run and the higher the pressure gets, the car begins to lose grip and skate, and that could cost Carl a lot of positions.
And remember what we talked about, that green-white checker, that still looms out there.
Yeah, and one thing they do have on their side is Carl Edwards in the seat. He knows how to get up on the wheel when it gets time to win.
He has more wins here at Phoenix than anybody else, a total of 4. Kyle right behind him with 3.
Yeah, and you see that car just back in third is Kevin Harvick. That's about as close as he's been able to maintain contact with the leader.
And right behind Harvick is Reed Sorensen, followed by Ryan Newman, Joey Logano 6th, Brian Scott in 7th.
Yeah, great run for Reed Sorensen. Got his car up there in the 4th spot in front of his teammate Ryan Newman. Doing a terrific job today.
And if he keeps this up, he will be the points leader coming out of here in the Nationwide Series. He's been the point leader only twice in his 132 Nationwide Series race career. Last time was in 05 following Kentucky. You see Newman right behind him. Battle for the lead is getting a little bit closer. Carl Edwards has Kyle within his sights.
Yeah, we'll have to see just as Doc.
Got him. Nothing out back.
Just as Doc pointed out, you run that air pressure up there, that's good. It's just a matter of how long that'll stick with you before it starts working the other way.
Hey, they might learn something about air pressure here if this works even in the long run. I mean, he's still hanging in there really nice right now. And these air pressure should have already built up.
This is the closest these guys have been this late in a run.
Oh, you heard him talk about it. So different tire that they have here this time. So they may be finding something out that they didn't realize about this tire.
So the best saved for the last, as we now have 22 laps to go here at Phoenix. And Carl Edwards closing.
Nice run right there through the middle of the corner.
And they've opened up a bit of ground on Harvick. He's 1.6 seconds behind. Move a little bit farther back in the field. You pick up the 8th position. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. ahead of Justin Allgaier.
And Stenhouse did a good job to withstand that pressure from Jason Leffler earlier. Saw that contact, and he's still able to drive forward. Look at Carl. He's right on him, man. He's on him.
Got to run.
Got a fender underneath. Kyle still officially led that lap, and he still holds on into 1.
Boy, he drove it off in the corner hard there.
And it stuck.
See, a little loose right there. Carl was able to come back.
Here he comes. Could we have a lead change?
Still there.
It's not official until we get back to the stripe. Here comes Kyle right back on him.
Oh, this is a great battle right here.
You'd think this was the last lap of the race. Here they come to the line. It's going to be Kyle still leading 180 laps and counting.
Well, the sense of urgency is up now for Carl Edwards. He knows he has to get in front of him now, or he may not have a shot at him.
Clear. 01's slow.
Lap traffic in front of him. The 01 of Mike Wallace, he gives way.
Well, you can see how important it was for Kyle Busch to make that run down in 1 and 2. But here comes Carl on the apron.
Couldn't make it stick.
18 to go, 1-8.
Kyle is going to lead another lap. Now 182. You're asking, what's the record here for laps led? 185 by Greg Biffle in 2002. He did not win the race, however. Scott Wimmer won.
I'll tell you, Kyle Busch is going to drive hard if he's going to lead 185. He only has to do 3 more, but Carl Edwards is all over him.
We see both of them sliding the back end into the corner. Kyle Busch is a little out of control right there.
They've got more slower traffic ahead of them coming to the stripe. They get around Jennifer Jo Cobb. She stayed down low. 183 in the books for Kyle.
Just can't get over how Kyle can drive that car in the corner and make it turn and get off the corner.
Lower in 3 and 4. He rolls lower than you in 3 and 4.
And don't forget, flashback to last November. It was Carl passing Kyle for the final lead change when he won here, and here we go.
Yeah, and that was Kyle's spotter telling him that Carl was running lower than what he was in 3 and 4.
Out back, still you and him.
You can see Kyle tried to make that work. Look how much further he drives it in, Andy.
I just can't get over how you can drive a car in the corner that hard.
And he still gets back to the gas plenty good to beat him off of that corner.
Will Carl make another run? Now, the 18 stays lower this time going into that corner, now forcing Carl to go high.
See what kind of run he can get off on the top side. It's going to be a little more difficult to pass that, make that pass on the high side.
Kyle has now led 185 laps, 15 to go.
Carl, he could be just cooling it here for a minute. We will see here in a couple of laps, though, if this has gotten to the point to where maybe the air pressure is working the other way.
This time by, there'll be 14 laps remaining.
I think he just broke that record you were talking about. Lap 186 now.
Yes, he did. He's now led the most here at Phoenix in a single race.
Far from having this race won, though. He thought he had this pretty much wrapped up.
Battle for fourth is heating up. Here comes Ryan Newman taking a look under his Turner Motorsports teammate Reed Sorensen, and he's going to clear him. Right side of your screen, the battle continues for first. Let's get an update on the 32. Anything wrong with Reed? Dave?
Marty, that car that was adjusted so well earlier, way too tight, was a driver's report about 5 laps ago. Way too tight.
They're both going around Timmy Hill, who's making his debut. Just turned 18 earlier this week in that 15 car.
I think a couple of things happen. These drivers start talking about getting tight at the end. You make some adjustments for a shorter run. You've got cooler temperatures, and then you're driving the car harder. You can't actually make the car a lot tighter just by the way that you're driving it.
How about the battle for 10th place? Kenny Wallace and Jason Leffler going after each other. Right behind them is Danica Patrick. She's running 17th, although she is 3 laps down. We only have 12 cars on the lead lap right now.
Yeah, and you have to put that 3 laps down aside. She's done a really good job. It's just that Kyle Busch has gotten around to her, having to start back each time. But she's really done a good job of driving this race car here today.
Kenny opens up a little more ground with 11 laps remaining.
Just wondering if Carl Edwards has got anything left in the tank for Kyle Busch. Like I said, he may have been
10
cooling
laps
it.
left. 10 right here.
Running really comparable lap times. Lap before this, Carl was just a little quicker than Kyle.
Still coming up on more lap traffic. You can see the 2 cars ahead of him, one of them being Shelby Howard.
Yeah, this could make a big difference. If these guys stay high and give Kyle that bottom, then he won't lose any ground there. But if he has to take a little bit of time, can't get back to the gas quite as hard, then Carl will be able to close in.
51 of Jeremy Clements in right ahead of Carl. Carl right behind. Both of them look like they're going to clear. But it does look like Kyle is back in control of this. And the question is, as you said, Andy, does Carl have anything left?
Well, he really needed, when he got wheel to wheel with Kyle, he needed to get clear there to have that clean air on the nose to have a shot at this. I think it's going to be really tough to beat him these last 9 laps.
This time by, there will be 8 laps remaining. And Kyle has led every single one of them. Won the truck race last night. If he wins this, he'll be looking to go for another triple sweep weekend. He's the only one to ever do it in NASCAR history.
Carl's able to inch in a little bit, especially as he enters turn 3 and right in the center and on the exit here. But Kyle beats him down in 1 and 2.
Yeah, it seems like Carl's car is way better in 3 and 4 than it is in 1 and 2.
Now, that was about a 10th faster for Carl Edwards on that lap.
I keep flashing back to before qualifying.
faster that lap.
Looks like Mike Beam was clocking too.
I asked Carl, I said, okay, what do you think about today? He says, the 18 is the car to beat. He knew exactly what he was talking about because Kyle has been stellar.
Carl would like nothing better than take that good-looking Mustang, sponsored by Ford, here to victory lane here today.
Carl will start on pole tomorrow for the Cup race. Right now, that's the furthest thing from his mind. More lap traffic coming up ahead of the race leaders. See from high above, the 44 of Charles Lewandowski giving way.
Right there, you see how Carl's car is so much better right through the middle of 3 and 4.
5 laps to go this time by.
Yeah, Kyle gets a really good drive off of that corner. So he's giving up a little bit on the entry into the middle, but really drives off hard.
Battle for 7th with Brian Scott ahead of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And the gap on the right side of your screen has opened up some more. It's now up to 0.4 of a second. He'll close like, and Andy, you're right. He is better in 3 and 4. But uh-oh, this
can make
get
a
little
big
dicey.
difference right here. I'm taking 3 wide.
Not for Kyle.
Yeah.
The 14 of Eric McClure. That's down low. The 01 of Mike Wallace. They're both lap traffic, and Carl has closed the gap a little bit.
Ooh, there's a real slow car there in top lane.
Yeah, that car may not make it back around on the back straightaway.
And we may have a caution here if that car cannot make it back. Can't make out a number
it's
from
Shelby
here.
Howard in the 7.
It is. It's Shelby Howard. You're right.
Close here. Still moving.
Remember what we talked about.
As low as you can.
7 out of 18 races here have finished green-white checker.
As low as you can, bud.
They're trying to clear him. NASCAR's waving for him to move to this opening that's just ahead of him here, right there.
It's like he just went
and
by
he missed it.
It's like he still has enough speed to make it around. But, you know, we've seen guys using that much of the racetrack, the apron.
While he continues at a snail's pace on the left side, it is still Kyle Busch. White flag this time by, so there will be no green-white checker. As Kyle Busch looks like he is going to make more history here in the Nationwide Series at Phoenix. He's going to lead wire to wire.
Carl's not giving up. You can see him driving hard into turn 3.
One more lap to go. I remember Mike Skinner, first 2 years. Oh, no, a crash. Brian Scott has hit the wall on the final lap.
Jax, we're down low. Come on, keep digging here. Keep digging.
No caution yet on the racetrack. Heading down for the final 2 corners. Kyle Busch. It will be his 44th Nationwide Series win. And coming out of turn number 4, it's Kyle Busch just ahead of Carl Edwards with Kevin Harvick a distant 3rd.
All right, guys, we made it. Good job. Nice work. Nice work. Woo-hoo!
All you can say is absolutely impressive. 200 laps, no one else.
Nice work, Wheelman.
Perfect pit stops. They got him out every single time on the race-off pit road. Let's talk to the man responsible for calling the shots. How about it, Doc?
Well, Jason, as they said upstairs, that was absolutely impressive. Domination. What was the key to this dominant performance today?
Well, it's all the hard work from the guys back at the shop. We have a great group of guys. Doug Hewitt leads a good group of mechanics, the chassis guys, the body hangers. Everybody's just really worked hard over the winter, and this is we're enjoying the fruits of their labor right now. The more I worked on that thing, the worse it got. So I'm glad it's over. I thought we had a handle on it, and at last stop there, I tried to actually over-adjust because I knew I had one more. I still under-adjusted the thing, but Kyle did a great job. We're glad for Interstate Batteries, for Norm Miller. It's good to come out here and get a win with his new paint scheme. Happy about our Toyota Camry. We'll see if we can keep putting them in victory lane.
All right, Kyle Busch gets it done. Guys, they were behind last year at Richmond. Boy, have they ever caught up.
His 4th Phoenix win ties him with Carl Edwards for the most in Nationwide Series history here at this track. And now only 4 wins behind Mark Martin for the most wins in Nationwide Series history. Carl Edwards gave it everything he could, gives a wave to the fans. Vince, let's talk to him.
Wow, you almost got him. 19 to go. You're side by side with Kyle. What was the difference between getting by him and not being able to get by him?
He was loose. He did a really good job driving his race car. Our Ford was fast right there. I mean, you know, the guys did a really good job. Everybody on the Fastenal Ford team did well, and I think from last year, I owe Kyle one little bump, and I thought about taking it, but it's a new year, and I thought I could get by him clean. He just did a good job. He knows it, too. He's giving me a thumbs up over there. He did well. I want to win this race badly, and I just can't thank Ford enough. Ford's back. We're running great. We're on the pole for tomorrow. And that's as good of a race as you can have and finish second. It was clean and it was fun.
Well done. Carl Edwards, runner-up. Marty?
Got a kick out of that. I mean, it's early in the year. I couldn't do it. A great finish, a great run for Kyle. A lot of action going on back in the field. A total of 12 cars finish on the lead lap. And it is all about Kyle Busch dominating this race from start to finish here at Phoenix International Raceway. And when we come back, we'll talk to him in a familiar place for the 44th time, Victory Lane.
About a shows.
Kyle Busch has had a great weekend so far. Last night in the Camping World Truck Series, he wins that race. He takes the checkered flag and then comes back this afternoon to lead every single lap in the NASCAR Nationwide Series event here at Phoenix International Raceway, winning by a half a second over Carl Edwards and 6 seconds over Kevin Harvick. His 44th career win, 4th here at Phoenix. And does he sweep the weekend? Well, we'll have to wait to find out tomorrow. Let's join him down in Victory Lane. Dave Burns is there.
And when Kyle saw the white-hot paint scheme this weekend with the big battery on the hood, he penned the word hybrid on the front of his Camry. But this was definitely a one-dimensional show today. Kyle, every single lap led a nationwide race. Hasn't been done since 2003. How in the world did you pull that off?
I don't know. There at the end, I got a little worried. And, you know, first person you got to thank is Carl Edwards for racing me clean. Racing me hard, but racing me clean. I gave him as much room as I could there. And, you know, my car just, I don't know why, but the last couple changes, it just didn't go quite the way we wanted it to. But Jason and these guys brought an awesome Interstate Batteries Camry here to begin with. So there wasn't much work we needed to do on it. But, man, to lead that many laps and to come out of here with a win, and it feels really, really good. And I love coming out to the West Coast in Phoenix. But, you know, thank the rest of our partners in Z-Line Designs, NOS Energy Drink, and Toyota, again, all the guys that worked on this. I say the hybrid Camry because it's got Interstate on the hood with Norman, or put the Interstate under the hood there. But it's fun, you know, running this nationwide series and to run in front of these fans here in Phoenix with, you know, again, the support of Marquis Jets and the Gillette Young Gun program. It's fun, and I don't know. I mean, it was a battle down there at the end, and I don't know how I held him off, but I just kept running as hard as I could, knowing that he was going to give me a heck of a fight. Because, you know, he doesn't go down easy, and you can't wear him out. He's an Iron Man, so it was a good race for us. So.
Well, you asked Jason for every little detail that he could provide about how Carl's car was working. How much did that help?
It helped a little bit. I was just trying to figure out how Carl was getting better, because he kept keeping up with us more and more as the race progressed there. And so I wanted to know what changes he was making to his car that made him better. And so I can understand more about what I needed to make to my car there. And they were tightening up their car, so I thought, all right, well, they're tightening up there, so maybe if I tighten up mine, it'll make it better. It killed the turnability of the thing through this middle of the corner, and it was still loose, you know, so now you're cranked full lock left, and the back is sliding out from underneath you, and it's just, it's a handful, and you can't go through the corner very fast, and especially when he kind of tucked up underneath the back of me a couple times, got me a bit loose, but we held on and made it to Victory Lane. So 2 for 2 so far this weekend, and
you start 4th tomorrow. Do your fans need to be buying some brooms?
I hope so, man. That's the plan. I hope Carl didn't save everything he had for tomorrow. I know I let him sit on the pole so he can speak to the fans in the morning there over driver intros. I'm just kidding. But we were joking about that earlier. So, I don't know. Our Combos Camry's good, but, you know, I'll let you know in about, 24 hours.
Kyle handles this place as well as anyone. Today, every single lap led by the 18 car. Jamie?
And Kevin Harvick brings it home third today. Kevin, how much of a challenge was it for you guys to adjust on this car at this track for the first time?
Well, I just got us off through practice. We needed to change the right rear spring, and we needed to do a lot of things. I just had it way too loose for where the balance went on this particular car. We just got to thank everybody from Menards and Rheem and Chevrolet, everything that they do for this nationwide program. It was a good lesson. We got our butts whipped today, but I think we know a direction that we need to go to if we got to come back here and do that better. So just my fault on not getting the car where it needed to be in practice.
And David Hyder, your crew chief, first time that he's working with you, the man who actually put him through the rigors of hiring him. I know he was nervous. How did he do?
He did a good job. I mean, we've got really nice race cars, and they do a good job working together for their second week in a row. Just little things here and there that obviously will get better as we go through the next 4 or 5 weeks. But we just got to do. I got to do a better job in practice of telling him where our car needs to be. They know what to do to the race car, but it seems like you got a little bit less adjustment with this race car once the race starts. So that's no reason, nothing wrong with the car. It's just it's just harder to adjust on it and fine tune it. So we just got to do a better job of getting the setup right. But all in all, it wasn't a bad week for 2 weeks with the whole team.
All right, 8th consecutive top 5 at Phoenix for Kevin Harvick. Doc?
And Danica Patrick climbed out of her car, went over to thank her crew for all the efforts. And Danica, major progress from where you were last November. 32nd last year. Today, a top 20, in fact, 17th the finish. So what was the key?
Thanks. I mean, we were struggling in practice yesterday. I'm not gonna beat around that bush, but we qualified 20th, which was better than I kind of thought it was going to be when I did the run. And Tony Jr. just really looked at the setup and made some changes for today. And it's nice when you make a lot of progress in the race with the car, and that's just what we did. We made one change at the beginning that I didn't like so much, and then Tony made a different change for the next one, and then more of that again. And it really was good that last run, and it made the GoDaddy car run all right. And I think that Tony was saying those were like 10th or 11th place cars, so that's good. That's always nice at the end of the day to realize that you can kind of run with those guys. So I'm happy. It's the short oval, and top 15s are great, but 17th on a short oval for me is not too bad right now because it's pretty pitiful last year on them.
And she's excited about what's going to happen next week. They're pretty pumped about going back to a 1.5 miles at Las Vegas. Guys?
That's right, Doc. That's our next stop. In fact, get your tickets because we are going to be heading to Las Vegas Motor Speedway next weekend. And then we'll follow that up with Bristol and then out to Fontana, Texas, and on down through the list. All you got to do is log on to NASCAR.com/tickets or dial 1-866-GO-NASCAR. Back here at Phoenix where, in the beginning of the week they were talking about rain, but we didn't have any of the wet stuff today, and all 200 laps run under some cool, brisk temperatures with a wind of about 20 to 30 miles an hour, and the celebration continues down in Victory Lane. And we want to check in with several of the other finishers. In the 4th spot was Ryan Newman, and Vince caught up with him just a moment ago.
Strong run for Ryan Newman today, 4th place. What was the difference for you? I know you guys had some problems in the pits, but what was the difference early in the race with the race car?
Really, we were just loose most of the race and kept tightening the car up each run, basically, and finally got it where it was better there at the end. But every time we pitted, we lost 2 spots, it seemed like. I know the last 2 stops we did, and that was hard to make back up. We had one good restart at the beginning of the race and passed a bunch of guys, got up to 3rd, held our own there for a while, but losing those spots, it was just hard to get them back. Everybody seemed like to be pretty even except for those front 2.
I know late in the race you said, boy, I'd sure like to have a yellow right now. Did you feel like you had something for him?
I was 4th, and I wanted to be on the outside, and I knew Kyle was going to pick the inside, and Carl was going to give him, a heck of an effort. So I was just doing what I was thinking about what I wanted to do if it came out, and I already had it played out, but it didn't happen. So either way, it's a good run for the Dollar General Chevrolet.
Yeah, strong run indeed for Ryan Newman. 4th place today with Turner Motorsports.
And another Dollar General driver, Reed Sorensen, brings it home 5th today ahead of your 3 teammates. I know you've had a cold this week. Now you're the points leader. How does that feel?
Makes me feel a lot better. Makes your cold go away real fast. But, yeah, we were battling with the other Dollar General car there at the end, which was kind of strange. And we missed our last adjustment somehow. We tried to free it up, and somehow we got tighter. But other than that, it was a great day for us. We started off not very good, and the pit crew did an excellent job today. I got to thank them. And Trent made the right adjustments to get our car better. And after the first stop, we just kept going forward. And just want to thank Rick Dreiling and his family for coming out today. We raced hard as we could for him. And all in all, great day. And to leave here with a points lead is great.
You guys have gone through a lot of changes in the off season. How much different, how much better is this race car from 1 year ago?
Well, you know, we did pretty good last year, I think, as a whole. The guys that work on these cars do an excellent job, and I think we're just going to keep getting better. I think we got more to come. So as the season goes on and we're able to work on our cars and figure out what we got and what we need to work on, I think we're going to be that much better.
All right, first time the 32 has led the points since back in 2005. Marty?
And Jamie, since you mentioned the points, let's check in on the Nationwide Series Championship chase, because you're right, Reed Sorensen is the points leader by 5 over Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Jason Leffler, and Danica Patrick. Joe Nemechek tied at 20 behind. Of course, that's going to change. How about some final thoughts, guys? What do you think?
Well, the stats are going to show Kyle Busch totally dominated this race, but it's not going to say how good the finish was. I mean, Carl Edwards put on a really good show. They adjusted that car to get close to him and almost beat him.
Yeah, I want to look at a couple of different. Kenny Wallace did a fantastic job all day. I think that he's got something to drive now. He's going to be exciting to watch. And then Turner Motorsports, very impressive. All 4 of those cars up in the top 11. I think we'll watch them. They're going to have some victories to celebrate this year.
Well, one guy who had a victory last week but didn't this week was Trevor Bayne. Doc?
Marty, we're just talking about that. NASCAR is a sport where you can go from the penthouse to the outhouse in the span of a week, Trevor. What's it like for you right now emotionally, given the difficult day you had here?
Well, fortunately, we stayed the same person after the Daytona 500 win as we were before, so we'll stay the same person after this crash as we were before. You know, it's a sport where you're going to have highs and lows, a lot of lows, you know, but it's all good, man. We had a great race car all day. We were sitting 7th at the time when we blew a right front there. Just melted the bead. The brakes were getting so hot, and we were behind Logano for so long that the tire finally just gave out, you know. Pretty hard hit there. That wall's getting the best of me so far this weekend, but we've got tomorrow to make the best of that one. I think we got a really strong Cup car, and, you know, we'll just keep digging.
Put it in perspective for us. What's it like now climbing back in that 21 car that you won the Daytona 500 with to the team tomorrow to run another Cup race?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great opportunity. I can't thank everybody enough for just letting me drive these things every weekend. You know, Roush Fenway Racing put me in the 16 car. A solid white this weekend. Hopefully next weekend we'll have some colors on it. We'll see. And then getting in that 21 Wood Brothers cars. I mean, I'm a really, really lucky person, and you know, I hate we didn't get the results today that we could have showed for. You know, we were running 7th there all day, but I think tomorrow we learned a lot for that, and hopefully we can carry it over.
Hey, good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Guys, how good is this kid? How grounded is he?
Had a busy week, Doc, and a tough weekend so far here at Phoenix, but got a lot to look forward to in what should be a long career. There's Kyle Busch celebrating another win here at Phoenix International Raceway. Triple header this weekend on this racetrack. Started last night with the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race. Today with the Nationwide Series race, the Sprint Cup event tomorrow. And having flashbacks to last August when Kyle Busch started his weekend by sweeping 2 events, this at Bristol Motor Speedway, and went on to pick up the 3rd.
Well, he did it there. He can sure do it again tomorrow if he wins this race here in Phoenix. Take a look at this accident right here. Him and Brad Keselowski get involved in it. Comes back and Brad spins Brad right here. He's upset with him. And Brad, talking about another Brad.
That was the introduction of the Cup the next day.
Yeah.
Brad Keselowski commented on Kyle's personality somewhat. But, yeah, I mean, the young man is just, he seems to start out this year, the year the same way each year by just dominating both of these series.
And, of course, the triple last August down at Thunder Valley in Tennessee.
Amazing.
Kyle has opportunity to go for the triple here tomorrow. In the Sprint Cup Series race, he lines up in 4th on the grid for that 500-kilometer event here at Phoenix. So, storylines we started the day with. Trevor Bayne, you just heard from him. Disappointing day, wound up finishing 31st. Kyle and Carl, yeah, they dominated. They ran 1st and 2nd the whole 200 laps here at Phoenix after starting on the front row. And Joe Gibbs Racing, yeah, I guess they figured out this new Nationwide Series car.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot before. Can they figure it out this quick? I mean, they dominated last year. They had everybody covered. And everybody was thinking, the rest of the competitors I'm talking, I hope that Joe Gibbs Racing and Kyle Busch and Joey Logano don't figure it out again, or else we could be in trouble. Well, guess what? You cats are in trouble because they figured it out. But you guys got people thinking, Brad, what about Kevin Harvick's statement after the race was over?
That was interesting. Yeah, that's exactly right. Talking about how hard it is to adjust the car once the race starts going. And I talked to Kevin yesterday about some of this stuff, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to really separate the good teams during a race from the mediocre teams during a race. But one thing for sure, that Kyle Busch kid, he is good.
He's good behind the wheel of one of these race cars, right? So for Kyle, it's on to the Cup race tomorrow. And again, he starts in 4th position, attempting to make the weekend triple. On ESPN, motorsports coverage for the rest of the weekend includes NHRA, Craig and O'Reilly Auto Parts Winter Nationals coverage from Pomona. That's tonight at 11 Eastern here on ESPN2. The finals tomorrow at 7 Eastern, also on ESPN2. NASCAR now, Phoenix pre-race, 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning. You're on that one, right, Big Brad?
I'll be there. I'll be there bright and early, brother.
Monday Roundtable, 5 Eastern, ESPN2 will wrap up the weekend. And then next Saturday, this nationwide series is on to the 1.5 mile in Las Vegas. All the high rollers on the high banks. That's ABC, 2:30 Eastern, next Saturday. Kyle Busch is your winner at Phoenix. He led all 200 laps today.